Sometimes I'd like to be alone in my own mind. I feel at home within these walls. I fear my own absence of association.
Hello everybody and welcome along to the World GT Championship Season 8 Meeting 4, and what a magnificent, spectacular, sensational venue we have got for you today. It is the Autodromo Nazionale Monza here in northern Milan. And what a wonderful circuit this is for us to see action from the World GT Championship. We've got 3 sprint races of 20 minutes coming up for you. There you can see the conditions as they are at the moment. And, well, 29 degrees track temperature out there for the drivers to contend with. My name's Paul Smith. Alongside me is Chaz Draker. I'm also behind the cameras. I'm doing double duty with Istvan Ballo, trackcams22.com. providing us all of the camera packs that you see here today, but we shall introduce our friendly co-commentator Chaz Draco. Chaz, we had a week off. It was manic at Road Atlanta, should I say. I always get them too mixed up. But the second race, especially last time out, was just some of the best action you'll ever see.
Oh yeah, we were really treated last time out at Road Atlanta. We knew it was going to be a close, tight, well, very feisty meeting. But to be honest, there was a bit of expectation for a lot of incidents, and we didn't get that as well. Like I said, we really were treated to that. The top quality stuff from the World GT once again did not disappoint. There is the calendar before you. You will see on the right-hand side that it almost alternates with sprints and enduros. But what they do is they have sets of 3, and then they'll have a week off. So it's an enduro round with 2 sprints either side, sandwiching that. So we've got a run of 3 weeks now, starting with Monza. We then head to the endurance round at Daytona next week, followed by the Nürburgring sprint race round. Then we have another week off, and then it's the Motegi round with the sprint race, and then you can see the pattern does repeat again. But Spa and Circuit de la Sarthe at Le Mans, some fantastic venues for those 1 hour 45-minute enduros, aren't they, Paul?
Absolutely, and we'll get straight into the standings then, and it is, surprise, surprise, Sarika, who's top of the standings for Williams Esports, but there, second place, Michael Evdoka. He's keeping Sarika honest here in this season. Alex Arana, third place with Pete Harrod, fourth, joint fourth with Carl Moore. Then it's Christian Rose, Ross McFarlane, Josh Thompson, who unfortunately won't be able to race today because his internet is down. So it'd be sad to miss him from this one because he's been doing so well in the championship. Cameron Dance and then George McClay round out your Pro Drivers Championship, and Chaz has got the Pro-Am standings.
There indeed, and we have Chris Byram top of the standings there, and he's going to be very pleased with that. It's his first league in iRacing, so he's going to be very chuffed to be top of the standings there, but he cannot rest at this point. He's only got 10 points over John Roberts, who's 3 points ahead of his stablemate Lars van Ryn. Then Morgan Butler doing a great job in 4th position. He is 9 points ahead of Michael Blake, who has then got Matt Draycott just 2 points back. He's got a 20-point cushion back to Mr. Powell in 7th. Kieran Chung and Niall Crowther tied for 8th position, with Max Bird on 146 points rounding out your 10, so it's still close in that championship as well.
I've just realised, looking at that's the amateur championship that we're seeing there. Whilst I quickly try and get that all sorted to get the Pro-Am standings up, let's quickly look at the Pro Team standings, Chaz.
Yes, Williams Esports unsurprisingly top of the pile here. We've seen them 1, 2, 3 in most of the rounds this season. Pure Sims OBP, much like the case of Michael Avdoka, keeping those Williams drivers honest up there. And then it's TechSense and Renvale Fitstyle Motorsport, just under 40 points between the pair of them in 3rd and 4th. They're followed by Paceworks Esports Cobalt, who have been really, really strong at the start of this championship, not too far ahead of Sim Sports Racing USA. Then we have 3M Racing in 7th with 649 points. They've got quite a comfy cushion over Pure Sims Esports, but don't forget, those guys did change car at the start of the season very early on to choose the Mercedes, so they took a massive hit on points. They're still ahead of Nomad Sim Racing, who round that out in 9th place. Well, if your car's got boosted written on it in the Teams Pro-Am Championship, you'll be very pleased as things stand. That's Boosted SimSport top of the pile, with Boosted Motorsport just 23 points back. They have almost an 100-point cushion over Team Mad. I can hear Paul gritting his teeth over that in the background. Paceworks Esports are 4th. Not the Cobalt team, bear in mind, Cobalt is in the pro standings. Then it's msignsuk.com, which is the hard-to-make engineering team, which has rebranded, I believe. Then it's the KRD Motorsport team in 6th place, just ahead of Team Lizard Motorsport. P1 Racing, around 60 points off the back of them, with a small cushion to Vulcan Sim Racing, and XVR Sim Racing round out your top 10 in the Pro-Am there. And there we have the Drivers Pro-Am Championship, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike Order then leading that one ahead of Ethan Bass, who had a brilliant round at Road Atlanta last time out. Mohamed Janko in 3rd place, Stephen McAfee in 4th with Matt Bunn, Chris Wood, Jake Blackall, Simon Field, Daniel Lee. Yes, Daniel Lee. I am getting his name right. And then Michael Gray. Sorry, I've literally had to rename a file and save it there to be able to bring that to you, but it's all sorted. That's all the fun and games of live broadcasting. And well, Chaz, we've got about 4.5 minutes here. A few drivers have changed, but one driver that we're seeing in the championship for the first time, if I recall, Ben Hackerson is here, and he's taken the venerable Ford.
Yeah, he's one of 2 drivers that have done so. You'll also see Alex Neller out there in the Ford as well, and it's great to see the really old, essentially now, Ford GT3 out on track, roaring its way around. We had Dennis Melchert driving it last season in a medical car livery just because he wanted to stand out and have a bit of fun with it, and he certainly did that as well. He actually won a round here at Monza a few seasons ago. He won the 3rd race of the day. I think it was season 4, sorry, Dennis won here at Monza. He won the 3rd race in the 888 for GT3. But yes, like you say, great to see Ben Hackerson back on track. Ben's a really sort of long-term friend of mine. He was one of the first people I ever spoke to within iRacing that I actually started sim racing with. We used to be teammates together as well. And he's a proper top lad and a really quick driver as well. He did get a seat at Radicals as well, so he's got some true pace behind him as Ben, and I hope to see him go well tonight as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how he slots in after missing those first 3 meetings of the season. And worth pointing out as well, as qualifying is ongoing at the moment, which is why we're just talking over the top of it here. But Sarika and Alex Arana, the 2 Williams drivers, are top of your standings. Now, Alex Arana, that incident last time out at Road Atlanta has cost him 2nd place in the championship, and it's cost him big.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is with the Pure Sims drivers as well, they may not have been winning races in such a dominant fashion as we've seen with the Williams Esports drivers, but it's the fact that they're there collecting the points behind them, just sitting in the wings, just racking up those points. That's all you need to do in a championship. We've seen it before. I mean, I'm going to reference the British Touring Car Championship here as well. Colin Turkington, Mr. Consistent. He's won so many championships. He's not been the most dramatic or exciting driver to watch. No offense to any Colin Turkington fans, but he's just got the job done by hanging around and getting the points, and it's what you need to do in a championship like this, much like the BTCC, that is so feisty and so closely contested.
Now, it's worth pointing out that you do have stewarding happen after the event in this series. No live stewards, but they do have post-race penalties. 3 drivers who have got penalties excluded from qualifying in this one. Jake Blackhall was one of those, Kieran Chung, as well as Nathan Dixon as well. Hopefully they won't have been naughty and done qualifying. They haven't. I can say it was safe to say that they read the penalty sheet and they are out there. But they're going to have quite the task coming on from the back of the grid, because generally with Monza you get little battle packs form and you get big gaps between those packs. And if you're starting from the back of the grid, you've got to try and at least, for the end of race 1, get yourself up to 24th at a minimum to try and get a reverse grid draw.
Yeah, that's very true. And around Monza as well, you've got to think it's the capital of speed, apparently, and it's the capital of slipstream. Sorry, temple of speed, I must say. But slipstream is so massive around Monza. Once one of the groups ahead of you, like you say, if you're at the back of the pack and you're fighting with, say, 4 or 5 cars, and then the group ahead has managed to get away because of the battle that you're having, you've got to work without the slipstream to try and get up to the back of them, try and make some moves and some further progress, and it's not going to be easy around here. Everyone says that it is a circuit where you don't want to be leading onto the last lap because of the fact that if you've got, well, unless you've got someone miles behind you, of course, but if someone's right behind you and you're ahead on the last lap, you will be overtaken over the course of that lap, trust me.
I've called 2 World Championship races around here, the old GT series, the old VRS GT World Championship series, where you had the lead change on the last lap across the line. There were hundredths of a second between the 2 teams. And then, of course, in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup last year as well, the final round of the championship was here as well, with Josh Rogers winning the championship there as well. Don't forget, watch that this weekend on the iRacing channel and Porsche channel, I must point out. This event, it always produces really exciting close racing, and that is certainly what we're looking forward to. But time is ticking over. We've got to about 2 minutes before the grid starts to form here. It's a relatively short pace lap, isn't it, here at Monza?
Yeah, they do start just before Ascari, just out of Lesmo 2. At the bottom of the hill where it dips down under the bridge, so you do get a bit of time to form up and collect your thoughts there, and there's been a lot of banter around there, trust me, and in a lot of the history of this championship. There it is, the wonderful little arrow drawn by Paul there, and he likes getting that pen out, because when we saw the damage, I think it was the first round, was it, at Silverstone? No, it was Sebring, wasn't it? He pointed out the damage on the rear wing of the car at Sebring with that fantastically useful little tool.
If you're a racebot producer, you have to, by policy, have the little yellow pen to be able to show what is happening on the cars. But well, these drivers, they'll be getting themselves prepared here, and we've got a big grid here. 48 drivers taking part this week. You've got Pro-Ams mixed in with Ams. Now, one thing I haven't noticed, and this is something that the admins do look at, is the mix-up of how the Pro-Am and Am is all decided. They can do a recalibration of that, can't they? Yeah, that's one of the things that they do assess partway through a season, because if you have somebody that's in Am or Pro-Am that's walking away with that championship and finishing in amongst the pros by a big amount, then they will be moved into a different class. And to be fair, I mean, we saw it with a couple of drivers last season that got moved up to Pro-Am very, very quickly. Steve Burke was one of them. Steve was doing very well in the Am class. He wasn't particularly running away with it because he got caught up in a few incidents and didn't quite take away the championship points from some of the race meetings, but his pace was absolutely incredible, and he was put into the Pro-Am class. I can't tell you that he was entirely happy with that, but it was a fair decision at the end of the day.
I'm sure he'd still argue the case now, but Steve is a real racing driver as well. He races in the Britcar series and is a previous champion in Class 2 in the Britcar series. So he's got that feistiness at heart, definitely.
Certainly has. Well, the clock is ticking down for us here, and we'll be getting ready for the grid very shortly. Gorgeous shots here of Monza. Thank you, Hugo Luis, for these shots, by the way. He does a wonderful job giving us these little montages of shots of various parts of the circuit. But right now, it's about time to head on over to the grid, and let's bring you the grid right now up on screen. And it's Alex Arana, pole position ahead of his teammate Moreno Sorica in second place. So Arana trying to gain some position and time. Michael Evdoka and Paulo Munoz. Great to see Paulo up there in fourth place in the grid. Ross McFarlane, the first of your Mercedes, up in fifth ahead of Carl Moore. Mike Horder, your first Pro-Am. He's in seventh place ahead of Ben Hackerson. Look at that Ford right there, up in eighth place. Michael Gray, ninth ahead of Bradley Burns. Really good performance from Bradley Burns there, up into 10th. Adam Watson and George McClay. Christian Rose, Ethan Bass with Lars Van Ren, who's the first of your amateurs, up in 15th place. Got a really good qualifying for Lars there. Daniel Lee in 16th place. We haven't quite got the graphics changed for the team there, unfortunately, but we'll get that sorted for next round. Harold Stadler, Adam Hedgecock, Chris Wood and Matt Bunn round out 20th. Alex Nella in the other Ford ahead of Pete Harrod. Adam McNally in the Excite Racing car and Ben Gregory. Simon Underhill, Tony Draper, Cameron Dance and Mohamed Janko. One of your drivers who's actually doing well in the Pro-Am standings, but down there in 28th. Morgan Butler, 29th, ahead of Stephen McAvoy in 30th place. Chris Byram, your amateur championship leader, ahead of Tom Jacobs. Matthias Van Delden ahead of Dean Powell. Michael Blake and Lewis Bibby are 35th, 36th. James Whitehouse ahead of Gavin Baker with Craig Jones and John Roberts. Stephen Burke, Matt Draycott, Sean Gardner, Niall Crowther. I didn't quite time it right and didn't get it to the end of the music, but Jake Blackhall, Simon Field, Kieran Chung and Nathan Dixon will round out your 48 car grid. But here we are then. Alex Arana, pole position, storming qualifying from him, but only a few thousandths of a second ahead of his teammates. So as the drivers head out on their pace half lap, what's your thoughts going into this first race here?
Well, I just very quickly want to give a shout out to Pete Harrod, because he messaged me earlier on saying he doesn't think he's going to make it tonight. He started a new job today, and his shift finished very close to time, but he's managed to get in. But it seems slightly out of practice. And also, Matt Draycott and Steve Burke further down the order did identical times just at the bottom of the order there. So those two very closely matched when it comes to Monza in the Ferrari. But coming into this one, Paul, I think we're going to see these two Williams drivers at the front work together again. No Josh Thompson, though, and I think the two of them behind as well, obviously both in the Pure Sim stable, they'll be ones to watch as they try to grab those top few spots away from them.
Well, here we are, the field working their way through the Parabolica. The leaders will be just backing them up. Now, the green flag comes quite late here. The start line is further down. The finish line is just underneath the gantry there. But the green flag will be dropping very early because Alex Arana is pulling away. He's going for it. The green flag now officially in the air. We're underway. And the two Williams cars, as you said, working together, not fighting each other. The rest of the field working their way down into turn number one. Question is, will we have any instance? We usually do.
There's a car off at the back. Sorry, Paul. One of the BMWs has gone in the wall. It's the P1 car. I think it's Gavin Baker. I thought it was Chris Byron, but it's Gavin Baker. He's lost it under brakes and put it in the wall. He's not taken anyone with him, though. Everybody else seems to have got through very cleanly there, to be fair. Yeah, you can use it's usually into that one or into here in the Della Roggia, where you can have incidents down onto the brakes. Look at that Ford up there in fifth place. Great start for Ben Hackerson. Rest of your field running through. We've got a car stopped. It's Ethan Bass. Oh, and he's got big damage on the rear wing
of his car. He's going to rejoin. Careful if you rejoin. Everybody behaving as they go around there, which is good to see. And now they head on down towards Iscari for the first time.
Yep, this is the big long haul now down towards Ascari, and it's such a nervous corner to get to because you've got so long to think about, right, when do I brake, when do I turn in, am I going to smack that sausage curb on the inside? Ben Haxton doing a great job at the moment in that Ford GT. Fantastic to see that car out there. Looking at the number 42 at the moment of Mike Horder, reigning Pro-Am champion. Oh, in front of him, that's one of the Cobalt cars. He's going to come back across the circuit. There's another 3M car in there as well. That's the number 24. The number 24 being Bradley Burns. He qualified so well, but the pair of them, fair play, Paul, they do an amazing job to stay out of the way of the pack there and not cause a bigger incident.
It was originally Carl Moore who had the initial incident. We'll have a look at that one then on replay. So it's Carl Moore that we're going to be keeping an eye out for heading into Ascari. And it's on the exit of Ascari. It's so easily done in this BMW. You've got to use the curbs, but you can't use too much, and he's just clipped that curb onto the dirt on the outside, bang around. And do you know what, that was on his own, Bradley Burns. Yeah,
Burns had gone very wide onto the gravel, and that car was not coming back from that one. Really quick stuff though from Carl Moore to get that car off the circuit. I don't think I've seen anyone alt F4 that quickly before. Oh, Bradley just hits that curb. And then as it bounces on the grass, how he doesn't hit Carl Moore there, I do not know.
He did slightly make contact, yes.
Fair play. Well, it was the tiniest bit, wasn't it? It was quite a good shot, to be honest, from Bradley Burns, but I know that won't be the most ideal way for him to finish his race. Tony Draper's just been turned in the second chicane. He had one of the Excite cars on the inside.
Careful, reverse there. Don't drive forward into that. You'd have been quicker to reverse and get that around, but anyway, he's got running there as Tony. A little bit of damage to his car, but he's away. But he's dropped all the way down to 46th there in that, as we've got another car running slow. Daniel Lee must have a slowdown penalty because he's running slow, heading down towards the Ascari chicane as well, as there's a bit of an overtake here, and that is Pete Harrod losing the place to Alex Nella.
Yeah, there was another car off as well, Paul. Oh, Ethan Bassett got collected again into the second Lesmo. I just saw, just went back and had a quick check. And Bass has lost places there. Oh, we've got Van Delden around at Ascari as well. They're all dropping like flies here, Paul. Van Delden's had an incident on his own, but he's carried on. He's got big front damage on the car, though. But Evdoka now putting his teammate Paulo Munoz under pressure here down the straight. And these two want to try and work together, don't they, to go after those Williams cars at the very front.
Well, they've already lost the Williams cars at the front because they are 1.8 seconds ahead of this pair that we're with right now. So those Williams drivers in those BMWs are doing everything they can to try and pull away at the front, and to be honest, it's working, whatever they're doing here. So they're not fighting each other, they're working together, using the slipstream, and they're working their way away from the rest of the field. Looking down at your field, we've got some the field's starting to spread out a little bit. One bit that isn't spreading out. Oh, there's a car around in the background. That's Simon Field.
I think he just might have caught the grass on the way, and there's a bit of rear damage on that car though, so he might have had a bit of contact as well to help him into there. There's been a lot of checking up into these chicanes, you know, Paul, and some of these guys just aren't accommodating for the fact that some of the cars ahead are going to check up a little bit.
You can see it. Oh my goodness, what on earth?
That was crazy. Something's gone very wrong there. Look at the car snaking around and then all of a sudden going one way then the other. I know Simon had wheel issues previously, as in his actual sim racing hardware. Go on board and have another look.
So this is very strange. Yeah, this is on board with Simon then, heading down in the McLaren. You can see that slipstream working well. Car in front decides to block. Oh, and then well, almost as if he just tried to switch sides, and yeah, he's lost it.
Yeah, it's very tail happy at high speed, is that McLaren. It's not very sticky on the rear end when you're going very quickly because it's quite a sleek car, and it is known as a death trap because it tries to kill every driver that gets in it in the sim. But it's unfortunately bitten him very quickly there. It usually takes a while for it to snap, and then you have a bit of an overcorrection the other way. But that thing just completely went as soon as he even breathed on the steering wheel there. That thing just spat him out. We're looking at Adam Hedgecock here in the beautiful boosted McLaren. That thing is an absolute work of art, as most of the boosted cars are. He's got Harold Stadler right behind him in the 39 Renvale Fittstye Motorsport Ferrari. Harold, well, speaking of the Renvale Ferrari, I was talking to Tom Jacobs before this race meeting, and I don't know a bigger Ferrari fan than Tom Jacobs, so to be driving a red Ferrari at Monza in front of the virtual Tifosi, he was very excited about this race meeting. He's not quite having the drive of his life so far. He's in 26th place. I believe he's just he's outside of the top 10 in top 5 in Pro-Am at least. I'm just going to calculate roughly where he is now. Well,
while you're doing that, we've got Harold Stadler on the screen, but we're actually looking a little bit further back here because Alex Nella is now putting pressure on the Team Mad driver of Chris Wood. And we're on board with the Ford, and it's almost prehistoric is this on board right here, because you look at the size of those buttons and switches, and yeah, the size of the wheel with only 5 buttons on it. So you know, you can see the car moving about on the brakes into Ascari, heading through there, up over the curb. You've got to ride that curb, that's the thing, that's the quickest way through there, but it unsettles these cars, these GT3 cars, and it's a real tricky thing to do. But that Ford showing a good showing there in 17th. Ben Hackerson in the other Ford, 6th place. He has lost the place to Ross McFarlane.
It just looks great, doesn't it, that Ford? I'm loving it, but the dashboard does look like it comes off a jet fighter from the 70s.
Here comes Harrod.
Very aged, but yes. Pete Harrod, fresh off his shift in his new job. He's trying to get a new position off Alex Neller and make up some ground. Tom Jacobs, by the way, was 12th in Pro-Am when I checked. So he's definitely not having the meeting he wants. Neller goes in a bit hot into the chicane, manages to recover though. And the thing is with that Ford, because it's got such a long range, and Arjuna Kankipati in the chat saying it looks like it's a sequential shifter. It is. It has got a lever shifter in that car. It's fantastic. I imagine it's a joy to pull that thing and push it on the downshift, but it does have very long gears, so when you can actually put it in first in most corners and get some really good traction out.
Wood.
That looked like that Nella was losing it there, but Wood was actually the one that lost out. It's like he passed it on to him or something. But yeah, that Ford can be very pointy at the front end, you know, if you get it in first gear. It's just that it can be very oversteery at the same time.
Yep, so Wood dropping down to 20th. He's back up to racing speed now. He's got Adam McNally behind. Ben Gregory just in front of him in one of those BMWs. Out the front, it is a Williams Esports, well, it's basically a domination up at the front. It's a display up there. Now, Michael Gray, here's one pointed out. He's the top Pro-Am here. He's just ahead of Mike Horder. So these are the two top Pro-Ams, in fact the Pro-Am podium here, they are 7th, 8th and 9th on this race, so they're all close together here as well, within almost a second and a half between them. And these drivers, they're just working hard. 3 different manufacturers. Oh, actually, I'm going to stop myself because Lars van Rijn has had an incident and he's on the inside of the Parabolica, and he's decided the safest thing is just to take a tour back to the pits.
By the look of it there, Paul, with the skid marks that there were, he's got a tap and he's just stopped the car. Either that or he's lost it on his own. I hope it's not a tap because that's his teammate behind. Maybe a bit of grass on the brakes on the way in. Oh, just as he downshifts there, you can see. This is what I was on about earlier. It goes very slowly, gets it stopped, and to be fair, pulls it out of the way very quickly to where he realistically would put the car in real life behind the wall. We
are going to stay on a replay because there's been a sizable accident, I feel, for Simon Underhill. He's back up underway on my timing screen, but we'll have a look at Simon Underhill for Nomad Racing. Don't say this is down towards the Retafilio. On the brakes, and there's a contact. Around he goes. It's one of the Fittstye cars, one of the TechSense Fittstye cars, back up underway. There was actually another car off the track as well.
That's Janko that went off there. I think he got a hit
as well. No, in front as well. There's some in front as well.
Pete Newman, I think, made a bit of contact with him as he went through in the KRD car. But yeah, it did get a bit lively in the first chicane there. A couple of them coming to strife, but yeah, Underhill, unfortunately, was definitely the victim in that one there. And back to this Pro-Am battle though. Look at this, Michael Gray and Mike Horder. These two were fighting for the title last season. Michael Gray was very quick, but he had a couple of incidents here and there. And this is on board from Adam Watson now in the Audi. So we get to listen to that wonderful V10 scream while we see the McLaren Spitfire, and the BMW cast a lot of shade on things because that massive wing, it's hard to see around here at Monza, but it does punch a big old hole in the air, doesn't it?
Certainly does. Adam Watson getting the benefit of a double tour here down towards the Rettifilio, and onto the brakes they go. Look at the flame spitting from that McLaren, trying to hold it around the outside. Oh, that's a bit of a squeeze. That was a hello, how you doing? I'm not letting you through here. And now as they're heading on through in towards Curva Grande, what this does mean is that George McClay, who's right behind them, he's just sat there. It's not a lot that he can do here, really, is there?
No, he's just got to wait for this to turn into an incident. But on Horder, looking around the outside, goes into the middle of the circuit. Watson thinks better of it, gets a bit harder on the brakes, tries to open up his exit, gets a bit of a slide there. You saw the opposite lock in the background as well. They've got Christian Rose, who's doing very well in the championship so far, 6th in the standings. He's trying to chase them down, but great defence so far from Mike Gray. He's doing a wonderful job in that BMW, and this is Alex Neller,
who's missing a front. He's missing parts of his bodywork, I do believe. He's had an incident. I'm trying to find it for you. We'll just rewind just a little bit more. No, it's before this. Here we go. He gets tapped from behind by the 27, and that is Cameron Dance.
That's 2 cars Cam's turned around here. He went late on the brakes and hit Simon a moment ago, and he's just got a bit too close to the back of that Ford now.
No!
Oh, Mike Gray!
Can he get it going? Yes,
I just saw it on my left screen. I've got the sim open just in case I need to review anything. And yeah, Mike, unfortunately, another victim. You can see the skid marks on the road there as it goes out of Ascari and naturally towards the wall on the left. That's a real shame that the Pro-Am lead now goes to Mike Horder, reigning champion. So very fitting driver to take that. But yeah, quick recovery, although that didn't look like it was handling to its best ability there.
I think this broadcast is going to be more replays than it is live action. It certainly is. Here we go. Is it just going to be clipping the curb or hitting the grass on the outside? It's the grass on the outside. Oh, that's a heavy hit into the wall there. He'll try and carry on and just get it to the end to try and get himself a good position for the next race. I nearly said feature race then, but I've got my Porsche hat on already. But look at that, Pete. Look at this queue of traffic now trying to make their way past Michael here.
Choo-choo, all aboard the grey train, it seems, at the moment. Pete Harrod trying to go down the inside then, reigning champion in the Pure Sims McLaren. He has got Daniel Lee behind him there. That was one of the hard-to-make engineering cars. They are now a completely different team, and unfortunately the split livery's gone. Look at this, Mike Gray doesn't care that car's damaged. He's still attacking Pete Harrod on the brakes. It's the M Signs team. I believe it's M Signs K, potentially, the black and pink and green. Very garish livery, but again, it's a split livery, so I'm a huge fan.
M Signs UK.
Oh, Janko. Sorry, Janko and Burke. I've just caught it on my left screen on this one, Paul. They're both the black and yellow cars. They're around at the second chicane here as Janko decides that he wants to bend the wing a bit more and reverse it to the wall. And we've seen a few robust defences from both of these drivers so far, and it's Janko that's behind here. And is that Chris Wood in there, or is it Mark
No, that'll
Wood?
be Michael Blake.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is
and in fact, contact between the two of them. Oh, and the innocent
Steve.
party on that is Steve. We're going to stay on replay, however, because I think Michael Blake has got himself involved in something else. Team Mad with only 2 drivers here because Mark Woodhouse is not available. Yeah, he's got damage on that car. He's struggling with that vehicle. And he's just going to try. And then on the bumps into the wall. Sorry, Michael, but this is purely a journalistic thing. I have to show that. But we're back to live pictures now. 5 minutes remaining. We've hardly shown these two up at the front of your field. But it is Alex Arana and Moreno Sarica. And Sarica is just happily sitting there for the moment, just keeping in the draft. Is he going to make any moves in the final 5 minutes of this race? We've got another car.
McNally and Ben Gregory have just gone in the wall on the exit. Gregory ran out a little bit wide on the exit of the chicane, and there was a bit of contact. And McNally, to be fair to him, he went down the inside into turn 1 and he was on the grass. Here we go, we'll get a great view of it here. McNally thinks, right, I'm going to have you both off here. Watch this. He goes all the way to the right, a little bit on the grass. I thought it was all going to end in tears there. And then Gregory just runs a little bit wide on the exit here. Sorry, they're still side by side. Gregory just runs him out of road, and McNally, well, he can't really disappear there, and the two of them pile on the wall. We've got the Cobalt car as well.
That was one of Adam Watson who was off there as well. That was the car that initially caught my eye, actually, was Adam in all of that. Oh, come on, you can get it going. There you go. Nicely up and away once again. But yeah, these two up at the front. Will they battle, or will they just play the team game, get themselves some good points?
I don't know, because we've seen some great battles from them before. I mean, Sebring especially. After that last pit stop, the gloves were off and these boys were free to race each other, and it was an epic sight. But Alex Arana, he needs the points a bit more. Oh, that is one of the boosted McLarens there. That is Adam Hedgecock with very little. Oh, that's very broken, that McLaren, unfortunately.
You want to pull John that Roberts. Over. It's not going to get taxed and tested as that one.
We'll have to have a look at what happened then. Here we are. Into Ascari. Is he going to do this on his own? It's easy to do it in here. The car's shimmying around on the brakes, and yeah, it's just gone away from him. Big hit in the wall.
Gets collected by one of the TechSense cars.
It was either McClay or I think it was going to be Cam Dance.
Oh, don't say it's Dance again.
Because Cam's been
he's been
properly
in the wars.
He's been dancing around on track and making contact with people. Hackison's just made a mistake, by the way, with Munoz. There you go. He's just trying to grab that spot. Munoz runs a bit wide on exit. And is that Christian Rose behind them? It's Michael Avdoka, sorry, who's currently second in the championship. Ben he's doing an amazing job to wrestle this Ford around, isn't he? The big lumpy V8 of a Ford. It's great.
Well, here he goes then. 2 minutes 40 remaining. He's side by side. In fact, he's actually going to start pulling away from the Ferrari of Michael Avdoka as they're heading down towards the Ascari chicane once again onto the brakes, and this Radicals car through the left. Then the right, you can see he's struggling through the Ascari chicane, and that's where that Ferrari carries so much speed. But then it's on the straight. Once it gets on the straight here, this Ford is rapid.
It is. It's a very low, hunkered down car. It's got some great top end, as it would do, as the road car does as well. Avdoka still looks to the inside. Hakkinen? He's not that quick.
We were talking about him earlier. That's why.
For reference, I'm obsessed with Mika Hakkinen, so that was eventually going to happen. Hackison, though, carried great turn-in speed and then managed to get a good launch off the corner as well. In the background, Adam Watson's got the attentions of Mike Horder all over the back of him, and George McClay is still watching this, laughing. Look at the slipstream here on the Paceworks esports car. He can't really do anything about that. Order a little bit earlier on the brakes though, plays it safe. Watson in the middle of the road just defends slightly, and still at this point McClay is waiting for a mistake from either of them. But what a great battle we've got here for the Pro-Am lead here, Paul. This is a great drive by Adam Watson.
Yeah, the pros really aren't giving us much of a battle at the front. By the way, it's worth pointing out, Morgan Butler is your top amateur in the race here, up in 21st place. We haven't really mentioned them because there's been so much action going on in this battle in particular, and in this sort of top 20. So both drivers running wide there, Watson and Horder, and McClay. He just needs to sit there right now, does George? He's in a solid position. He's not under any threat. He's not going to catch the cars in front of these two by the end of the race. We're going to get one more lap the next time around. So, you know, he can happily just sit back here, look after his fuel, look after his tyres. Not that you have to worry about his fuel, but look after his tyres. Well, actually, we've seen that in previous rounds, that people ran out on the last lap, haven't we?
Yeah, they really do cut it fine in this championship, honestly. The amount of people saying beforehand, oh, you're putting 13 gallons in, I'm only putting 11 in. And trust me, 13 around Monza will barely get you to the end. So you will see some guys running out here. And it looks like, at that point, Horder didn't get a very good run out of there. But like you said, McClay, he just needs to sit there and collect these points now. The lap time between him and Mike Horder last time round was 0.02 of a second different. So they're very close indeed. Watson was 0.4 of a second, almost half a second slower. So he has to do a bit more work to stay ahead, but we're on to the final lap now, and Alex Arana in that 888 Williams esports car is doing everything right so far, and he needs the points more than his teammate, doesn't he, Paul?
We're looking at this battle though, because it's still ongoing, and Horder to the inside of the Rettifilio. Almost contact between the two of them. Watson is really good on the brakes in that Audi, but look at the speed that Horder can carry on corner exits. They're heading now through Curva Grande, and it is going to be Horder who's just in front. He'll want to get it out to the left-hand side, look after that inside line. He doesn't want want to invite Watson to make a move. Watson's going to have a look to the outside. You can sometimes line up the car in front by getting that line to get the better run out of the corner, and that is exactly what Watson has done. He's got the inside, has it into Lesmo 1, onto the brakes. Tricky to run side by side through here, but that's exactly what they're doing right now. In towards Lesmo 2, it's more of a one-line corner as this. Both of them compromise a little bit. Horner could have maybe tried the cutback there, but it's not working, and here now comes McClay. He can sense a good result. Michael Gray, by the way, he's had an instant. He's further down, and he's going to be falling out of your top 24, I feel. But in towards the chicane once again, Ascari chicane. Nothing happening there. So we'll look forward then. And Alex Arana, what a performance. He started on pole position. He's got the fastest lap of the race, and he is going to be race winner here at Monza. Across the line in race 1, he is your race winner.
Fantastic performance again by both Williams cars. Ross McFarlane is going to round out the podium ahead of his teammate Paulo Munoz, and it looks like McClay doesn't quite get there in the end. Adam Watson is going to win the the Pro-Am class. Fantastic drive there from him, a nicely timed manoeuvre on the exit of the second chicane. Here are two of the Fitstye cars. That's Cam Dance. Hopefully he doesn't hit his teammate after the other cars that he's managed to displace from the circuit. That's Harold Stadler just finishing ahead, and here is Morgan Butler, who is going to take the win in the AM class. Once again, another highlight of just how much Morgan has come on with his performances in these GT3 cars. He really has improved with the help of the Pure Sims guys. Fantastically done for Morgan. Very pleased for him, to be honest, Paul. He's a great lad, and I'm sure he'll be over the moon to take that AM win there.
He's a good lad. Do you know his dad? As they come on through further back, Craig Jones actually overtaking Steve Burke, who I think was letting Jones through there. So Jones up a position at the end of that race. Mohamed Janko with the damage. He had a race to forget there, really. Yeah. Nathan Dixon, one of your drivers who could not qualify. He's going to be one of the last few drivers around on the lead lap. Lars van Rijn behind him is on the lead lap as well, so they're going to come across the line now here, and they're going to be taking the checkered flag here. But yeah, really exciting opening round or opening race of meeting 4 of the World GT Championship. And well, with that, let's bring you the race results here then up on screen. And it's Alex Arana then who wins this race ahead of Morena Sarica in second place. Ross McFarlane third ahead of Paulo Munoz in fourth, ahead of Ben Hackerson in the Ford. His debut in this season of the championship in fifth place. Michael Avdoka sixth, the second place man going into this round. He'll be hoping for a bit of a better result next race. Adam Watson, Mike Horder, the two that were battling it out for your Pro-Am standings. Adam Watson seeing that one off to take the Pro-Am win in that one. George McClay, 9th ahead of Christian Rose in 10th place. Matt Bunt was the 3rd place in Pro-Am, 11th ahead of Daniel Lee. Pete Harrod and Harold Stadler, 13th and 14th ahead of Cam Dance, who was in the wars a little bit there in his Tech 6 Fitstye Motorsports car. Chris Wood for Team Mad, 16th ahead of Tom Jacobs. Jake Blackhall, he won't be happy with that result. Well, actually, he will be happy with that result because he did have a penalty, a qualifying penalty, so he started all the way at the back of the field. So up to 18th for Jake. Really well done for him. Morgan Butler, your top amateur driver, in 19th ahead of Simon Underhill in 20th place. Alex Neller, the second of the Fords in the field, 21st ahead of Stephen McAfee in 22nd. Dean Powell and Michael Gray. So Dean Powell, second place in your amateurs ahead of Michael Gray. John Roberts, ever Mr. Consistent in the amateurs, 3rd place in 25th ahead of Ben Gregory. Ethan Bass ahead of Craig Jones, Steve Burke and Matt Draycott. Rest of your drivers all getting involved in little incidents here and there. Gavin Baker, Matthias van Delden, Mohamed Janko, we saw have damage, James Whitehouse, Tony Draper, Adam McNally, who got involved with Ben Gregory earlier on at the Retophilia, Sean Gardner, Michael Blake, who had a very damaged car but still did finish on the lead lap. Nathan Dixon and Lars van Rijn, who I said was the last of your lead lap runners. Chris Byram 1 lap down, and then all the rest of your drivers did not finish. So this is Adam Hedgecock, Lewis Bibby, Niall Crowther, Kieran Chung, Simon Field, Bradley Burns, who we saw have that huge incident along with Carl Moore at the Ascari chicane exit. But that was only race 1. Next, we've got race 2. And to do race 2 here, Chaz, we have to spin the wheel.
Yes, we do. Reverse grid for the second race then is coming right up. We'll see what we get. Not many to choose from here, but either way, it's always an interesting prospect to see who ends up at the very front of the order here. Looks like, is it going to be a 22? It might skim just past 12, or is it going to finish in there? No, it's going to be 22. There we go, and I think this may be his second reverse grid pole of the season, but that will be the number 91 car of Stephen McCaffrey, the Pro-Am machine, with Alex Neller in the Ford on the front row of the grid, ahead of Simon Underhill, who could do with the recovery after that incident before, Morgan Butler, and Jake Blackhall in 5th. So that's a very interesting mix of Pro-Am, and Am there at the front of the field. That's going to be very interesting. Sorry, I thought Jake was in Pro class. He's Pro-Am, actually.
He's Pro-Am, yeah.
But Cam Dance is the highest placed Pro-Am car in that one. He will be 7th on the grid, just a couple of places behind his teammate Tom Jacobs.
Yeah, it's quite the mix up there. The second highest of the reverse grid draws that we can have here in the World GT Championship. But that race, pretty action packed, but also quite a few incidents really. But the majority of them were actually single car incidents that maybe collected 1 or 2 others, but on the whole, generally the racing was clean. It was just those single car incidents that occur here.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of these guys, because of the straights here at Monza, they run very low rear wing settings, so the cars are very slippery on the rear when it comes to high speed stuff. Ascari is such a scary corner, even if you've got a planted car, to be honest. Because of the weight transfer, you've got to get it over the crest on the brakes, chuck it into the left, make sure it's settled on the curb. There's a humongous curb all the way around to the right that you've got to make sure doesn't unsettle the car and oversteer it, and if it does that, then you've got to flick it back to the left, make sure you don't hit that curb on the very exit there. And then again, you've got AstroTurf, grass and gravel, and a big bump on the exit. It's such a concoction for an accident, but these guys, regardless, in the majority anyway, have done an amazing job so far tonight to avoid any sort of spins or accidents there. And fair play to Carl Moore, because as soon as that car was stationary after his accident, he got that thing out of there. He didn't try and reverse it or just get out of the way in a physical sense. He just Alt F forward, got out of the sim, got the car out of the way to save an accident, and that is a very respectable thing to do, to be honest, because it saves any grief for anybody else, and he just thinks, right, my race is done, there's no point in me causing any issues. So yeah, fair play to Carl there on that one. That was it was good to see him do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have got, don't go anywhere anybody, you will not want to miss this, because we've got 2 more races. If you thought that was crazy, wait until you see the reverse grid races here. It'll certainly be very, very intriguing to watch that one. So stick around, there's just going to be a couple of adverts. Please enjoy the products that are advertised before you. But you're watching the World GT Championship Season 8, Meeting 4 at Monza. We'll be right back after these.
the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Where the field is rolling out for the start of today's 400-lap race on this .625-mile racetrack. Here's the starting lineup. On the pole from Dawsonville, Georgia, in the number 9 Coors Ford qualifying and Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro is underway. Everybody nicely through turns number 1 and 2 as Bill Elliott has the lead and Dale Earnhardt has jumped into second position, followed by Benny Parsons and Bobby Allison.
Well, there we are then. Race 1 over and done with. And we've got the grid set for race number 2 here in the World GT Championship. Paul Smith and Chaz Draker once again alongside you here on this broadcast. And, well, Chaz, as we see the drivers going around in their warm-up, conditions really haven't changed that much out on track. There you go. But the track temperature is up a little bit. 43 degrees track temperature now. So they're only 20-minute races, but it does come into effect a little bit if you're somebody who pushes the car a bit more.
Yeah, a little bit less grip in this one for the guys, so it's going to be a bit more slippery. And I think through corners like Ascari and through the not the Degnas, not Suzuka, the Lesmos, because there's two Degnas and there's two Lesmos at the respective tracks. But the Lesmos are very tough in these conditions because you're getting the car slowing down in a straight line, and then when it dips into the ground, once you get off the brakes and chuck it in, the back end in a lot of these things, with it really sliding, can just break loose. We saw it happen as well at the Parabolica halfway through that race as well. For, I believe, was it Alex Nella? No, it wasn't Nella.
Well, Nella did lose it coming through there. Not Nella, it was one of the other... Adam Hedgecock.
It was.
Adam Hedgecock who lost it through there.
Yeah, it was. It just breaks away so much in that last section of the lap. Sorry, Lars Van Rijn. Lars Van Rijn, wasn't it? Because Hedgecock went off at Ascari.
Yes.
There's so many boosted cars, it's hard to keep track. But yeah, it just shows you that once you're on the brakes, get it turned in, the back end can just break away. And I think we're going to see a few more incidents similar to that here. Hopefully, touch wood, that we don't see any incidents caused by the reverse grid, because the compressed pace from some of the slower guys from a little bit further down the order from that first race will be now right at the front, and the very, very quick drivers from the front that are considered untouchable from my perspective are going to be a little bit further back and making their way through. You can see here the plan for this season. We have 12 weeks, 8 sprint events like we have tonight, which are 3 20-minute races. And we are in race 2 of the night, which is the first one with the inverted grid. 22 positions reversed here. And then we've got the 4 fantastic endurance events to look forward to as well. They're just one race on an evening, 1 hour and 45 minutes. It seems like a bit of an odd length of time, doesn't it, to most people, Paul? But it really does spice things up when it comes to the pit stops, seeing as there are 2 of them that are mandatory.
Yeah, of course, the cars are fuel limited, and therefore they have to pit twice in those endurance events. But I thought if anybody's new to the series who's watching this broadcast, thought would show you what the format is here. But let us show you right now the starting grid for race number 2 here, and it's Stephen McAfee then on pole position ahead of Alex Nella. Simon Underhill with Morgan Butler. Look at that, Morgan up there in 4th place. That's really good for him in the amateur standings. Jake Blackhall, Tom Jacobs, he'll be happy at being up there in 6th place with Chris Wood and Cam Dance. Harold Stadler, Pete Harrod, Daniel Lee and Matt Bunn into 12th.
We then have Christian Rose and George McClay 13th and 14th. Mike Horder sat there in 15th with Adam Watson behind. Those two had a fantastic battle in the first race. And we've got Michael Avdoka, watch out for him, and Ben Hackerson coming through with Paulo Munoz and Ross McFarlane, the 2 Pure Sims stablemates. Then it's Moreno Sarica and Alex Arana, the 2 Williams Esports cars, ahead of Dean Powell and Michael Gray, who still managed to get 24th after his incidents in the first race. Then it's John Robertson, Ben Gregory, Ethan Bass and Craig Jones in the number 88 SCC racing car. Steve Burke and Matt Draycott are on the same row of the grid once again after Steve's incident earlier. Gavin Baker 31st ahead of Matisse van Delden in 32nd. Then we have Mohamed Janko and James Whitehouse on the 17th row of the grid, followed by Tony Draper and Adam McNally in 36th. Then it's Sean Gardner alongside Michael Blake, who got caught up in that incident earlier, with Nathan Dixon and Lars van Rijn in 40th. Then we've got Chris Byram, Adam Hedgecock, Lewis Bibby, Niall Crowther, Kieran Chung, Simon Field, Bradley Burns. Carl Moore is in 48th place. Another massive grid here, Paul.
Certainly is, and drivers out there getting ready for the start of this one. Let's go McAfee then. Out at the front, he's going to be the one setting the pace as they come out of the final corner and heading through. And as I say, the green flag comes late here, but you can go a little bit earlier if you do wish. So out the final corner, the Parabolica, the famous Parabolica, they come here. Looking towards the gantry, looking towards a start here. Waiting patiently, and he's going to go late here then, but McAfee down, up and underway. Green flag is in the air, and we've already got accidents. We've got a car in the wall, in the pit wall. I believe that was Munoz who was involved in that one. Further down, head towards turn number 1 then, the Rettifilio for the first time. What is going to happen through here? Everyone so far, they're checking up. Well, we've got cars around further back. There's a Team Mad car in the background, I see. So that's going to be Michael Blake. And Munoz is all the way down at the back of the field there. Absolute nightmare for Paolo. Heading towards the Della Roggia. In towards the left and then the right. This is another place where you can have instance. We've got a car off, and that's Chris Wood. 2 Team Mad cars, the only 2 Team Mad cars out there, both having instance in the first 2 chicanes. Yeah,
a bit of a nightmare for Team Mad here.
Oh,
I know you don't want to see
it.
Is that one of the M Signs cars?
It is.
Might have been Daniel Lee.
Dean Powell.
Oh, it is
watch you rejoin.
Woo. Lars van Rijn is not going to have a pink rear end on that car anymore after that one. Flipping heck. As at the front though, it is still McCaffrey leading the way. No, but look at this though. Nella says, nah, stuff it. Ford to the front once again here at Monza in the World GT Championship. Great to see that GT car at the beginning of the pack here. I'm absolutely loving seeing that thing racing up there. Simon Underhill behind. Oh, another incident for another McLaren. Simon Field's having a rotten evening. That's a very damaged car there, Paul. That's crabbing quite a lot.
It certainly is. Now, Simon Underhill, give him credit. Look at this. He's all over the back of Stephen McAfee, and he's trying to make his way through. He wants to get ahead and try and get some form of decent points finish here. We've got side-by-side action further back. We've also got one of the 3M cars going onto pit road. That's Matt Bunn. I wonder if he's picked up a penalty somehow, but he's heading onto pit road now, in towards turn number 1. The front 4 all staying as they are, and the 2 Fitzdie cars, the Texans and the Renvale car, that's Cam Dance and Harold Stadler. They're pretty much together. In fact, Cam Dance pulling over. He's got a slow down penalty now, as we've got more incident, more drama. That's Stephen Burke.
Burke again in an incident at one of the chicanes. I was just trying to see where he was. My timing screen seems to have frozen. I'm not sure if you've just had the same, Paul, but he was side by side with Ethan Bass. Let's just have a look at what happens here then. Steve gets slightly ahead. One of the Pure Sims cars getting in there as well.
Oh dear. Oh, I can see where that was going.
Ethan moved over, in all fairness. They got very lucky not to hit Michael Gray there as well. Gray very lucky, but yeah, I'm afraid while it maybe shouldn't have been 3 wide, Ethan did move over to the left there without reason. And it comes back to it again. One thing I found myself doing a lot on broadcast recently is just shouting at people, stop moving over in a straight line, because so many drivers do it, and it's quite frustrating to see, in all honesty, from our side of things. But I mean, I'm sure we've all been guilty of it, but you just don't need to do it, do you?
You certainly don't, but on board Cam Dance, there goes Ben Hackerson down the inside. Slide job to the inside, and he goes through up into 13th place. So Cam Dance down to 14th now as they're heading on down the back straight, heading towards the Parabolica once again. And now the two Williams eSports cars are going to work their way past Cam Dance as well. There goes Sarika, Marina Sarika, working his way through. Alex Arana having to be patient here. Now, this track, I would say, is the best opportunity for somebody else other than the Williams car to win a race this season.
No, I've got to agree, definitely. They do have the chance here to open up that gap, get away from the slipstream. This is Adam Watson down the inside of Tom Jacobs. Adam moving over to the left a little bit, takes plenty of curb. Down the inside he goes. That was nice and tidy there. Leaves Tom for dead on the exit. And there's chaos behind us. Hakkinen and Arana and Cam Dance again involved in an incident. Honestly, he's got some sort of curse on him at Monza here. I'm sure we'll have a look back. Yep, Paul is already on it, everybody. Paul doing a smashing job once again on broadcasting duties here. Just have a quick scan of this then.
So let's have a look at this, because in front is Sarika. We're going to just slow this down a little bit. So Sarika is trying to make the move on Ben Hakkinen as well, and he's going down the inside into the Della Roggia. Into the Rettifilio, should I say. There's contact between the two of them. Separately, there's contact between Dance and Alex Arana, one of the Pure Sims cars, I believe. That was Ross McFarlane who got into the back of Cam Dance there. Little that Ross could do about that one, but absolute nightmare down at the Rettifilio.
Yeah, look, Cam once again just carrying a bit too much pace into there, when very close to the back of a car. Hello, Jake Blackwell. That was a very scary moment there. I know he's used to driving the Aussie supercars, and they're a bit sideways and leery, but that was unbelievable. But again, Dance just carried too much pace into there when he's following a car closely and just hit the back of it. But Hakkinen looked like he really jumped into the air with that side-by-side contact with Sarika. Got very unlucky with it, I must say, and unfortunately that is the end of his race as well, with the big damage to the front right of the Ford. But this is the chase at the moment for second and third then. So Morgan Butler still leading the AM class here. Pete Harrod the top pro, but the top 4 cars are Pro-Ams. Now this is Jake Blackwell looking down the inside of Simon Underhill. Oh, Simon blinking in and out a bit. No, I live very near to Simon Underhill, and I know how terrible the internet is around here, trust me. But that's not going to help Jake, although it's usually Jake that's got the blinking. There's a bit of contact in front there as well, just at the bottom of his shot. That was Tom Jacobs
and Daniel
Lee. I think, again, it was just a case of the car on the inside washing out wide and not leaving the space there, Paul. Let's have a little ganders.
You must always leave the space, as Fernando Alonso once famously said.
You beat me to it.
Here we go, down into... It's our favourite corner here, as you see Sarika making moves on one of the Pure Sims cars. But yeah, just very wide was Lee. Oh, yeah. Do you know what? He's actually lost it himself on the power there. I think there's a slight contact between the two of them.
Yeah,
but a lot of that is on the power.
They probably hooked together a little bit, and it just got that right rear off the ground and just spun it up. So when it did make contact with the surface again, it just spat the car out to the left. There was a massive dive by Sarika down the inside of George McClay that was just off shot there, and it was a hell of a move, but I imagine it scared the life out of George McClay. But this is Morgan Butler at the moment, and again, not to praise Morgan overly on this broadcast, but he's doing a cracking job. He's holding up there in 5th position at the moment, top AM by an absolute plethora of positions. John Roberts is the next AM driver in 17th place, so Morgan's going to be absolutely reigning in these championship points at the moment, and he's actually staying on the back of Stephen McCaffrey and Simon Underhill, Paul. This lad has got some proper pace this season, so fair play to him.
And if you want to join the Morgan Butler fan club, then make sure your checks are payable to Chaz Draycott Media. But here we go, Stephen McCaffrey then, along with Simon Underhill, side by side, Nomad. Simon Underhill having just said, well, is he going to give up that space? He's down the inside. They're still side by side, and it's going to be a squeeze there, but through. And here comes Morgan Butler now. He's trying to make a move on Underhill here. So Morgan trying to move up a place here, and he's in 5th place. You can see behind him Watson and Pete Harrod are close together as well. McClay and Rose are pretty close together. Underhill looking to the inside, no move forthcoming there. McClay and Rose, by the way, these two side by side. Rose getting a wheel onto the grass, that cost him a little bit of time, and here comes McFarlane now to try and make the move forward and trying to make the move down the inside of his team member.
And Horder looking down the inside there as well. He smells blood in the water here. It's Christian Rose struggling a little bit through that section. You've got Jacobs and then Gray behind him. And then just behind them is Chris Wood in the Team Mad McLaren. Chris went off early on, but he's back in this one now, right in the fight. I think it may have been Harold Stadler trying a move on Pete Harrod just ahead, but it's actually Moreno Sarika has got past him. So I think when Harold went for the move. He's held himself up, and Moreno now up into 8th place. He's chasing down reigning champion Pete Harrod in that McLaren. But this BMW, I mean, it looks great, it sounds great, and it certainly goes great in the hands of Moreno Sarica and Williams Esports, doesn't it, Paul?
Yeah, down into the Parabolica. We want to look ahead as well, because Adam Watson is trying to make some moves on Morgan Butler now further back, but here comes Sarica. Look at the drive he gets out of the Parabolica there compared to Pete Harrod. That McLaren, you can tell it's got a little bit of stability issues down towards the Parabolica and those fast corners, because he did not feel confident at all getting onto speed. You can look at those drivers in front, all battling it out, all swatching positions, and that is Underhill ahead of McAfee and Watson ahead of Butler.
It's all bunching up bit by bit now. This it's like a game of Snake. It's just getting longer and longer and ever more complicated as this race goes on. But we've got McCaffrey and Watson, then the two teammates in the Paceworks Esports Cobalt cars, right together. And it's another Knight Rider Designs livery by Jake Blackhall, so another phenomenal looking machine as he's ahead of his own team. But that's Watson out of shape in the wall. Morgan Butler's going to get a freebie. He tried to recover that, did Watson, but I'll tell you what, he got about 3 or 4 goes at it before it decided to kiss the wall. And still, I don't actually know how that car didn't completely go around there, Paul, because over both of our time broadcasting, I'm sure we've seen cars go off there and then spit back across the track in front of the field.
Yeah, we certainly have. And Moreno Sarica, your championship leader, he would have been the one who came off worst out of that one. By the way, I can tell you 40 cars still running here out the 48 that took part in this race, so good to see that number of cars out there still on track. But now Butler ahead of Sarica and also Watson. Sarica wants to make his way past these two. He wants to keep that 100% record of Williams Esports getting wins, but time is running out. We're halfway through this race, and one thing to keep an eye on as well is Jake Blackhall has been slowly gaining on Alex Nella.
He has, yeah, and he's just chipping away at that gap. That is Tom Jacobs. I just heard a car. I've got my sim open to my left-hand side. I just heard a car going slowly, and I believe it's on Ascari. What has happened there? It looks like... didn't look like he was at full pace through there, did he, Paul?
No,
he was very close
pedestrian.
Yeah, very close to the inside of the corner. You can see the cars behind closing in on him. Something has gone very wrong there for Tom Jacobs.
He's pulled over. He's just pulled right over.
Not sure whether his tea was ready or something, but it's a bit of a late time to be having it. But yeah, there's something definitely gone awry there. I'll very quickly message him and check he's okay, because he's a very, very good friend of mine, is Tom. And I'll just check if everything is all right.
While you're doing that, looking back, Simon Underhill, Stephen McCaffrey, you got Sarica, Butler. So Sarica's got ahead of Butler and Watson. So while that was happening for Jacobs, he's got himself up into 5th place. And we've got a problem again. Tony Draper. No, what has happened to you? Let's have a look on the replay here. So he's in a battle. Don't say that's Cam Dance again, please. That's another one of the
is it 27?
It's another one of the TechSense cars, and it is Cam Dance that he's battling with. And he's got his teammate there as well. So let's hope it's not... Dance got onto the dirt and the grass. Around goes Draper. His teammate has to take avoiding action as well. I think Cam will just want to sort of just put a line through this week and go on and take on next week.
Well, I've had a message back from Tom Jacobs, by the way. He said he got a black flag in the end. He damaged the floor going over the curb, so the car was going absolutely nowhere in a straight line, and then he just got his 3rd slowdown in a row during Ascari, and he was the car was going nowhere, so he's had no luck there, unfortunately.
He's had enough. He's parked the car.
He's going to come back for race 3 though, so he's going to give it a go. But he's just said he has had an awful season. I agree. He's just had so much bad luck when he's been running well. Butler having a bit of a moment there though at the bottom of his shot. Pete Harrod is now going to try and go around the outside of his stablemate Knight Rider Designs car. Great looking bit of kit as well, in all honesty. Designed by Jake Blackhall. As a lot of the cars on the grid are as well, actually. All the Pure Sims cars have been done by Jake too. So as you can see, he does a cracking job. But Adam Watson though, in all honesty, no offence to Morgan, Adam was probably going to think, oh, I'm going to get past Morgan now, and then I won't have to worry about defending. But Morgan's keeping him very honest here. I'm very impressed by his performance, and I've put the URL to the fan club in the YouTube chat. chazdracott.com/Morgan Butler fan club. And I do believe it's still, there it is, Alex Neller in the Ford GT leading the race, Paul.
Well, somebody did mention it and says, hang on a minute, is that Ford in the lead? Well, yes, it is. It's Alex Neller who's in the lead with the Ford. But the thing is, as much as he's pushing that car, and he is pushing that car, I can tell you, look at the lap times for Jake Blackhall. He is gaining, and Jake needs to get a shift on here because Marina Sirica has been released from the pack now. 5.5 minutes. There's 4.5 seconds between Blackhall and Sirica. Even a man as quick as Sirica, I don't think he'll be catching Jake Blackhall in this. So this is the battle for your race lead.
How long is it going to last in this order? We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, not too long to go, but we know that Jake is quick, don't we, Paul? And he won't mind me saying he's had inconsistent results before, but it seems like this season for him is going very well so far, in all honesty. That BMW has been a real car to watch, and there's a lot of them in the pack. This is side-by-side Ross McFarlane, and I believe is that Harold Stadler in the 39 car on the outside. Ross McFarlane getting that done in the Mercedes number 127 car. And it's a shame we've not seen anything of his teammate Ben Palmer for a few rounds in this championship. Ben's usually very exciting. He was actually at he was at the previous round, but then he was missing another one, wasn't he, at Sebring? So yeah, it's a shame not to see him there, but he's actually having to defend now from Harold Stadler in the Renvale Fitstyle Motorsport car. Again, Ferrari does suit red, to say the least, and that darker red of that car looks good, but a bit of a wobble there on the exit for Stadler means that McFarlane can get away. George McClay just showing his nose, not with a southern accent, down the inside of Morgan Butler. I suppose everything's southern compared to you, though, isn't it, Paul, really? As McFarlane tries to chase the pair of them down, and it's going to be an interesting little trio, this, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got Butler, McClay, and McFarlane there. You've got Stadler not that far behind with Rose and Horder as well. Everyone trying to get the best results they can, and Morgan Butler losing the places. No, he isn't. Great defence, and that's the thing with the first left-hander of the Ascari chicane, is you can carry that speed around the outside, and it gives you the inside for the second part of the chicane. But here we go again, McClay trying to make the move. He's trying to make it count into the Parabolica. Run it wide, get on the power nice and early to carry the speed through the exit of that corner. Side draft if you can, but here comes McFarlane now. He's got draft from both drivers. Will he make it 3 wide? The answer is yes, as they go down in towards the first chicane. And well, don't blink because you won't want to miss this. In towards the first chicane, they're almost going 4 wide. Butler decides to pull out of that one. He decides that retreat is the best part of battle right there. And McFarlane up to the front of that queue. Butler actually losing 3 places out of all that, and he could lose a 4th here.
Yeah, he just needs to be careful not to get involved in an incident because he's still leading the AM class by a fair distance, so he doesn't want to jeopardise that. Of course, though, you do get points for every position in this championship, so it's not just positioning class. Horder is looking very racy behind him. Michael Gray late on the brakes down the inside of Christian Rose. Christian having none of it, manages to hold on to the place, and here comes Mark Woodhouse now in the team man McLaren. He shows his nose, decides against it as they go into the first of the Lesmos. But Michael Gray and Christian Rose got very lucky there not to have an incident because he was late on the brakes, and look at this, it's the Cobalt cars going into flying formation down to Ascari, Paul.
Well, if there's one way of stopping people getting past you, it's to go side by side as teammates, that's for sure. Now we're heading towards the end of the race here. The lap times are about 1 minute 50 and we've got 2 minutes remaining here. Jake Blackhall, I think, could potentially run out of time here in this one because he's heading down towards the Parabolica right now, and you really need to be crossing the line now to get an extra lap out of this one. So we should be starting the final lap of the race here, and look at that time, it is coming down. He's got the slipstream in that BMW. Blackhall needs the lap of his lifetime. That last lap, by the way, he was 4/10 faster.
That's a decent amount, especially when you get into the slipstream as well. That will only help you. So we'll keep an eye on this now because it's 2 rather old bits of GT3 machinery, but this is the beauty of sim racing. We can go back in time and watch these cars once again against each other. We've got the very tall, beefy BMW Z4 GT3, big lumpy V8 in the front of that. Sounds very different to the big lumpy V8 in the back of the Ford GT, but again, it's a long, slim, hunkered down car. Big fat arches on it though as well, so it's got a bit of everything. But look at this now, you can see Jake just closing on the brakes. He wants a win here in the World GT Championship. He's not had one for a very long time, and he had an absolutely torrid season last time round, did Jake, at the start especially. As Nella's wide through Lesmo 1 into Lesmo 2. He needs to get it hooked up here and make sure he gets a good run down to Ascari. The car steps out a little bit. Jake's car just looks so planted. I think it's going to be done down towards the Parabolica here, Paul, but this is going to be mighty, mighty close unless Jake does something on the brakes here. But Nella's defending, isn't he?
Well, we've seen how fast that Ford is down in a straight line. It's the twisty stuff where it seems to struggle, but through the first part of the Ascari chicane, looking okay so far. Jake Blackhall now behind Nella, running using as much of the track as he possibly dare. We've just got this and then the drag to the finish line. It's going to be pretty close here. The neutrals will want to see the Ford win this one. Blackhall to the outside of the Parabolica. Nella to the inside. He's pushing him wide. He's pushing him wide. That's cheeky from Alex Nella. We're going to come across the line. Who's it going to be across the line? It's going to be the Ford, and it's going to be Alex Nella across the line to take the win in this one. Sensational result there for Alex Nella. There we go, confirmed. He is the winner in the Ford for Boosted Motorsports. Hats off. Well, if I could take my hat off because of my headset, I can't. But if I could, that would be a hats off job there, because that was a great job from him to keep the pressure off of behind. But look at this, Ben Gregory now battling with Steve Burke, two drivers who have been involved in little bits and across the line. How do they finish?
Steve Burke just lost out.
Did he? No, I think that was the other way round. I think Gregory lost out.
3 thousandths of a second. Burke just takes it. The timing screen just took a second to update, but it's 3 thousandths of a second Steve Burke's advantage there. That was incredible. Morgan Butler, by the way, wins in the AM class once again, finishing 12th overall. Moreno Sarica, highest placed pro driver in that one there. Pete Harrod in 5th. But, well, once again, for the second time in, well, a long time to be honest, but it's the second time we've seen a Ford GT3 take the win here in the World GT Championship at Monza, and Alex Nella didn't even make us, I'll say that again, didn't even make us wait until race 3 to get it done this time. He took that in race 2. And what a drive as well, Paul. It was a great example of how to make the most of these reverse grids, isn't it? He just drove away, stayed out of trouble, opened his gap, and then come the end of it, Jake just didn't have enough time to get the job done. I think given another lap he might have, but it doesn't matter now, does it? Because at the end of the day, Alex Nella has still won this race. Yeah,
he certainly has. We're still waiting for the one more car to come across the line before we get the official results come up on screen. And in fact, they'll come up on screen right now. There you go, Alex Nella then. 78 thousandths of a second ahead of Jake Blackhall in second place. Moreno Sarica, look at that. Only 2.7 seconds behind your race winner in third place. He was your top pro driver, as Chaz pointed out. Alex Nella also winning the Pro-Am category there in that one. Simon Underhill, Pete Harrod, Adam Watson, Stephen McCaffrey, should I say, Ross McFarlane, George McClay and Harold Stadler round out the top 10. Mike Horder, Morgan Butler, as Chaz pointed out as well, top amateur here in the standings here, 12th place. 13th for Christian Rose ahead of Michael Gray. Chris Wood ahead of Daniel Lee. Look at how close some of these battles are. There's hundreds between them. Daniel Lee there at 16th, Bradley Burns 17th, John Roberts, the next best amateur, in 18th place ahead of Cameron Dance, who's been in the wars, he'll admit that as well, in 19th ahead of James Whitehouse, the third place amateur in 20th place. Steve Burke and Ben Gregory, as we pointed out, 3 1/1000ths of a second between them. 21st, 22nd. Tony Draper and Michael Evdoka. Michael with a poor result there, he won't be happy with that, down in 24th. Adam McNally and Michael Blake 25th, 26th. Dean Powell, Lars Van Rijn, Adam Hedgecock and Matt Draycott down in 30th place. Craig Jones ahead of Niall Crowther, Gavin Butler, Matt Bunn, who actually made a pit stop and beaten Kieran Chung into 34th, 35th for Chung with Ethan Bass, Mohammed Janko and Nathan Dixon, the last of your finishers. Tom Jacobs, who we saw have his pull over to the side there, having had enough. Chris Byram, another one who retired from this race. Ben Hackerson, who we saw have that accident with Alex Arana as well. Simon Field, Matthias van Delden, Sean Gardner, Paulo Munoz, Carl Moore and Lewis Bibby round out the full standings here in race 2 of 3 of the evening. So don't go anywhere, anyone, because we've got one more race to come yet. And we might as well get the wheel brought up on screen right now, because there it is. That's where it finished out last time, Chaz. Where's it going to be this time then?
Well, we had 22 last time. I'm going to go for 20 on this one as my guess, but we'll have to wait and see. And the one way to find out, I suppose. 20 goes around there. That's actually quite a good shout by the look of it at this point. It's going to go past 14, past 16. Look at that, the mind reader himself. I'll take my bribes from Mr. Oh, wait.
let's keep it going. Come on, let's get a nice low one, shall we? It's still moving. It is still moving.
Oh, heck.
Oh, what do we do if it lands on the line? That's a very good question. Right, I'm going to have to stand up and look at my monitor and tell you that it's more in 20 than it is in 12. So it's 20 is the reverse grid on this one. We'll have to have a word with Arjuna, who built the reverse grid wheel for us there, to maybe have a little bit of an easier way of differentiating between the two spots. But yeah, it was only just a millimetre in 20. But yeah, 20th place. That means that James Whitehouse, an amateur, pole position ahead of John Roberts, second place, another amateur on second row, on the first row of the grid.
He owes me a tenner, basically. Bradley Burns is going to be up there with them as well, and Daniel Lee. Daniel, of course, had that incident partway through that race, which dropped him down the order after the contact with Tom Jacobs. So it's going to be a bit of redemption for him if he can get some good points from this final race of the night. And that's the beauty of these reverse grids, you know. If you're up there and you're having a bit of a fight and something doesn't quite go your way, and you don't lose all of your positions and retire from the race, and you end up in the midfield, then you can still just get a little bit more out of the evening at the end. And it's another example of why you just don't give up in these things. I mean, unfortunately, Tom, you know, he was way down the order. He knew he wasn't going to be able to get back up into a reverse grid position. So it's understandable. The frustrations are real in this, and all the emotions behind sim racing are. I mean, it's a coined phrase now, isn't it? I'm not even going to repeat it at this point.
And century sim racing with 2 words. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I think that sums up how we're feeling about this one. But we've not seen. In fact, I'm not going to touch that. I'm going to touch that after the third race.
Yes, let's wait.
I was going to say something then, and then immediately regret it. But
I do that every day.
Alex Neller, though, let's just quickly touch on that before we head on to the ad break. He did. You mentioned it. He did exactly what he needed to do. He got into the lead of the race. He pulled a gap that gave him that breathing space. That when people did come through, the faster drivers, he just had enough at the end there.
Yeah, that's it. He bagged the gap that he needed because he knew that the guys behind were going to fight. They were a really quick bunch of guys as well. Jake Blackwell's been absolutely on fire in that BMW. He's a very quick driver in that car, especially in just the Pro-Am category as well. So he knew that he'd have to defend at some point, but he eked out that gap just at the right time. And like I said, I think if one more lap would have been just ahead of us, I think Jake maybe would have done it, but it's still amazing to see. I mean, Alex, he's a great guy as well. He's been involved in a lot of championships in the last sort of year or so. I've raced with him as well in the ARLTC, and he's a top guy. And I mean, all the guys at Boosted are. They're a brilliant bunch, and it's great to see one of their cars at the top. But the fact it's a Ford as well, and once again at Monza, it must just really suit this car around here. But it's the car's debut in the series this season. So what a time to do it. I'm very, very pleased for him and the team as well, because he must be over the moon. I mean, he said in the YouTube chat as well, he is absolutely shaking right now, and we all would be. Leading a race in iRacing in a field this packed and this intense is very nerve-wracking, so he did very well to hold on.
Well, I mean, really, if you're Alex Nella, the last time that we saw Jake Blackall racing last time out was at Road Atlanta, and he was bouncing through the air.
Yeah, very true.
So you would have been a little bit worried about what would have happened there, but certainly he's done a marvellous job there. What we are going to do is we are going to just step aside just for the final ad break of the evening. Make sure you stick around because race number 3 is coming up very shortly indeed. You will not want to miss this because it is another reverse grid. Join us soon after these adverts.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Where the field is is rolling out for the start of today's 400 lap race on this 0.625-mile racetrack. Here's the starting lineup. On the pole from Dawsonville, Georgia, in the number 9 Coors Ford qualifying and Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro is underway. Everybody nicely through turns number 1 and 2 as Bill Elliott has the lead and Dale Earnhardt has jumped into second position, followed by Benny Parsons and Bobby Allison.
Second win of 1987.
Well, here we are then. 2 races down, 1 race to go here in meeting 4 of Season 8 of the World GT Championship. Of course, sponsored by 3M, by Pure Sims and by Simmortal. I am Paul Smith. Alongside me is Chaz Draycott, who's got a Simmortal model right there next to him. Yes, final race of the evening. We've got 2 amateur drivers on the front row of the grid. This could be a chaotic or sensational race. One of the 2.
Yeah, they're often a mixed bag, these races. To be fair, Road Atlanta last time round was amazing. We always do. I mean, it's not a bad reflection on the series. It's just it happens.
We're apprehensive.
When you get, yeah, you get
from experience.
Yeah, you get a reverse grid. You get some of the slower drivers at the front and some of the quicker drivers a bit further back. And it does bottleneck a little bit, and you see a few desperate moves because people know it's their last chance of the evening to gain some places, gain some championship positions. And sometimes you just don't see the patience from the quicker drivers. They're used to driving around some very, very incredible talent, so they're expecting really late braking, and if someone brakes early, they're not ready for it. And it just, like I said, the bottleneck is the word for it, definitely. And I think we're going to see a little bit of that here. We've already seen a little bit of it in the second race, but this third one is either, well, it's going to be a belter either way, because Monza's amazing. Monza is an absolute joy to watch these cars race around, especially in a sprint race format as well, because usually you see GT3 cars and Monza, it's usually at least 3 hours, but here, no, nowhere near that. So it's good to compress it like that as the guys are lining up on the grid. Well, the pace lap anyway.
Well, it is the grid to form the pace lap, so why don't you take us through the grid?
Well, look at that. 4 Ferraris here in front of the virtual Tifosi. So we have James Whitehouse, and it's Cameron Dance alongside him. I did wonder really, you know, whether he still got classified in that place, because he dropped off the timing screen, then popped back up. So I didn't know whether it had picked him up or not. John Roberts is third with Bradley Burns alongside him. It's 5 Ferraris. Daniel Lee in fifth with Chris Wood sixth. Michael Gray in seventh ahead of Christian Rose. Watch out for Christian coming through here. Morgan Butler ninth. He's having a great evening so far. Mike Horder 10th. Harold Stadler 11th with George McClay alongside him. That's an all Ferrari row 6. And then it's all the German manufacturers there. Ross McFarlane, Stephen McCaffrey and Adam Watson ahead of reigning champion Pete Harrod in the McLaren. Simon Underhill is alongside Moreno Sarica on row 9 with Jake Blackhall and Alex Nella rounding out your top 20. He's followed by Steve Burke, who's looking for a bit more luck in this one. Ben Gregory, when he's not moaning about his spec map, will be 22nd on the grid. Tony Draper is 23rd ahead of Michael Evdoka on row 12 with Adam McNally and Michael Blake behind them. Then it's Dean Powell and Lars Van Ryn in the McLaren. His teammate Adam Hedgecock is behind him, and the better Draycott lines up 30th. He's just ahead of Craig Jones, Draycott's teammate Niall Crowther, with Gavin Baker and Matt Bunn on row, what would that be? 17. Kieran Chung, maths with Chaz. Ethan Bass just behind him with Mohamed Janko, Nathan Dixon, Tom Jacobs, Chris Byram rounding out your 40. Then we've got Ben Hackerson, Alex Arana all the way down there with Simon Field, Matthias van Delden, and then Sean Gardner and Paolo Munoz for the 46 car reduced, believe it or not, grid. Yeah,
we've lost 2 cars from this grid, but yeah, the drivers working their way down towards the Parabolica, and these drivers, one more race, one more opportunity to get a result here. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who's going to take this one?
I think Christian Rose is going to be a strong one to watch if Cam Dance doesn't make the breakaway, but I think Cam, with how his racing evening's gone so far, he's going to need to keep his nose clean here. What do you reckon?
I think Dance could keep his nose clean. He'll certainly be one to take a victory. But we're getting ready for the start then. And Whitehouse is going to jump early. He's going early on that one. And we are going to be green flag in the air for the final 20 minutes here at Monza. Across the line they go then. Look at that field as they head on down towards turn number 1 for the first time. You can see them all jostling for position, trying to get positions through. But Whitehouse is in the lead at the moment into the Retifilia for the first time. And will we get through once again? Will we make it? Oh, no! Sarica's around!
And he's in the middle of the pack as well. He's facing completely backwards. He's been clipped by Adam Hedgecock. He's actually managed to reverse it onto the gravel. He's done an amazing job to keep it out of the way, but he is going to be stone dead last. Oh, there's a big incident for Jake Blackhall. He's gone off at Curva Grande. He's gone off to the left. I'm not quite sure how he managed it, but we're looking here at Christian Rose. There is Jake trying to recover from behind the barrier. Oh, such a shame for him, because that second race was brilliant. But here we go. Here's the rabble. Steve Burke. Oh, Simon Underhill's off. Underhill off in the barriers on the exit of the second chicane. We're quite lucky they're only dropping one by one at the moment. This is Adam McNally round the outside of Alex Nella. 2 cars that are still on the black stuff. But
Chase
it's a
for the
great
lead.
train. And
this
yeah,
is Cam Dance. Oh, we've got a car in the background. Was very loose. That was Daniel Lee. He's managed to keep it in one place. I saw him in the gravel there. Amazing that he kept it in one piece and kept it out the wall, because that is a place where you can have very, very big accidents in towards the chicane. At the Ascari chicane, Pete Harrod up ahead of Stephen McAfee. Azole up over the curbs. That's not the ideal line, and into the wall.
Oh, we've lost Bradley Burns as well. He's in the middle of the track, facing backwards. He's going to come back on. He's managed to keep it out of the way, though, luckily.
Oh, there's big crash.
Team Lizard car, one of the SCC cars.
Oh, there's a huge crash at the background, and there's more cars coming off here.
Oh, Sarica's been clipped by Van Delden. He's just got into the wall as well.
Yeah, that is a huge accident. There's cars everywhere there. And, well, have to wait and see. Carrying on, though.
Yeah, they did get out of the way quite quickly, in all honesty, at the end there. But yeah, Van Delden just tried to get out of the way. It didn't look like Nathan Dixon held his brakes when he hit the wall, and we've said it before that these guys really do need to slam on and get the car stopped. James Whitehouse was out of shape, I think, into turn 1. Not James Whitehouse, sorry, I apologise. It was his teammate, Tony Draper, who was all over the shop. Manages not to collect anybody, luckily, but we're looking now. Here is Draper, sorry, with Ben Gregory, Alex Neller, and the Ferrari of Michael Avdoka all over him, but he was very late onto the brakes in turn 1 there, Paul. I was just watching on my left monitor, and it was all over the place, but luckily, no such contact, but it's getting nice and bunched up here into the chicane. He's flashing the lights. We all know that's 15 horsepower more as he slots in. Steve Burke and Morgan Butler. Morgan Butler's upside down in the gravel with him, Paul. That is going to be the end of Morgan's evening, and Steve has got involved as well there. The two Ferraris coming together.
So I saw these two actually battling for position here. We'll go on board then with Steve Burke, Team Lizard Motorsports driver, heading in to the Della Rogia. Onto the brakes, the two of them through. Oh, Burke just not enough room given on the apex there. And Morgan Butler up and over. And he is out of the race.
Such a shame that, but like you say, just Steve didn't quite get rid of the overlap before he turned in. This is Michael Gray down the inside of John Roberts in the Ferrari. Good to see John out there once again, repping the Ferrari with the beautiful metallic green on that thing. It does suit it. He's tucked right underneath that BMW now, though. They've both got the bright green and bright purple on their black machinery. Just ahead of them is Mark Woodhouse trying to get away, and James Whitehouse. Sorry, it's Chris Wood. Apologies, not Mark Woodhouse. They both begin with an A. I'll get that excuse out of the way. But here is Mike Horder on John Roberts now. He wants 5th position. Onto the brakes, into the chicane, ahead of his teammate. Behind them, though, Christian Rose, Ross McFarlane, George McClay, Harold Stadler and Pete Harrod lining up. That's going to be a hell of a train to have right behind you. We've lost Van Delden and Blackhall, unfortunately. But Cam Dance is holding on to this at the front here, Paul. 1.3 second advantage over James Whitehouse in the Century Sim Racing car. But here comes the pressure from Christian Rose, and there is said Whitehouse in 2nd place.
Yeah, so he's second, as he pointed out there. He's got Chris Wood behind. Oh, that was a bit of a twitch over the curbs there from Chris Wood. And behind them is Michael Gray, who's on a bit of a charge. It's worth pointing out, Moreno Sirica is still in this race, by the way. He's in 39th at the moment, whereas his teammate, Alex Arana, where is he after all that? 20th place. So great start to the race for Alex to be able to move forward so many positions so early on here. But look at this, Michael Gray putting the pressure on Chris Wood, who's putting the pressure on the guy in front, which is Whitehouse, and behind them McFarlane, he's making his way past John Roberts.
Yeah, we've seen that work quite well before. The outside into the first part of Ascari, I actually managed to pull that manoeuvre off in the well, believe this, BSR Kia Club Series from years and years ago, and I believe you were commentating on it at the time, actually, Paul, with Dan Blake at Monza, so it's really going back there. But anyway, into the present, Michael Gray down the inside as Whitehouse now drops to 4th. He's going to have Horder all over him.
He's dropped to 5th is what's going to happen here, because Horder is working his way past here. Whitehouse just had such a terrible run into the Parabolica, and that allowed both Wood and Gray to make their way past, and there's Horder moving up into 4th place. So Wood and Gray, they need to work together. I know that's going to sound a bit alien there, a Team Mad Car and XVR car working together, but those two need to work together to try and catch up to your race leader Cam Dance, because he is swanning away at the front, 2.3 seconds ahead.
Yeah, that gap has really opened up with these guys battling. Here's Pete Harrod going past John Roberts. These guys have been racing together for years. Just behind them is Daniel Lee, and he's then got Adam Watson a little bit further back. But Pete Harrod makes the move, goes past John. The two Ferraris now, both with lime green on them, side by side. John defends the inside. That brings Adam Watson into this. The M-Signs car looking fantastic, I must say. I do like that livery. But Daniel Lee continuing to put the pressure on. John puts a wheel on the grass, and that's surely going to be off into the gravel. It's a long drift, manages to catch it though. What a great save that was by John Roberts. Fair play, mate. I was really expecting that to be way off the track through the first Lesmo. You don't often save it there, do you?
Let's have a look then. On board, John Roberts, the Boosted Motorsports driver. He was defensive into the chicane, because you can see Daniel Lee there. So it's on into the braking zone, touches the grass right there, and oh, little touch of the barrier to help him. Not quite full Tokyo Drift, but certainly gave it a really good effort there. That's a definitely 5.9 out of 6 there for John. That little kiss of the barrier just loses him the 6. As through down towards the Parabolica we go again. Through the right-hander.
Comms channel.
Yeah, we're back.
Apologies, mate.
Yeah, so apparently our Discord decided to not Discord, our TeamSpeak decided to crash there, but we're back, and John Roberts then up at the front now. Chris Wood and Michael Gray, they're not working together. They're fighting.
Did we expect anything different? You said it earlier. It's going to be a bit alien for them to work together. We've got a boosted car, an XVR car, and a Team Mad. All of these quite well-established teams, to say the least, and none of them want to lose any glory here. And it's the BMW against 2 McLarens. So once again, being able to go back in time and watch these fantastic bits of GT3 machinery that we never see IRL anymore. But it's a good chase by all of them at the moment. They've all swapped positions. They've all had at least one of these positions each now. So Horder is up into a podium position. They're all Pro-Am drivers as well. So this is for the Pro-Am podium as Cam Dance runs away. They've got James Whitehouse leading the Am category. And, there's contact in the background, Paul. We've got a few cars around. Lars Van Rijn is in there as well. Paulo Munoz. Niall Crowther's just avoided it. Tom Jacobs hopping over the curb as he goes through there. A little bit all over the place. That was a bit of a crazy one. Real bounce there from Jacobs, but
we'll get a look at this on this one. So heading in towards the chicane, and we'll look at Van Rijn here. We've got the two P1 cars there, and Van Rijn just got into the back of him. And then, the innocent party of the Nomad racing car, the 170 Simon Underhill. It's not been his day, really, and around he goes, does Van Rijn.
Sarika and Jacobs just flew through there over that curb. Honestly, it was like a pair of gazelles jumping over a fence. It was unbelievable. But for second place, Paul, it's got even spicier here because now Ross McFarlane is in this one. And I'm not going to lie, I'm expecting Ross to try and make this 3 wide now because he's not scared of making a move. But he's going to probably just watch the 2 mics in front. That's Horder and Gray side by side. Horder giving Gray the room he needs. But look at that. He gets it so hooked up out of there. Gray's a little bit wide, but he carries the speed with the outside line. And now with Whitehouse, McClay, Rose has Stadler and Harrod behind as well. It's only going to get more and more condensed, is this? So hold on to your hats, everybody, because we're not even halfway through yet. This is kicking off as Horder, very slow round Curva Grande there. That was strange.
Yeah, it's almost as if he decided to let the two of them go by, but McFarlane all over the back of Gray there. You've got Wood behind Horder as well, the 2 McLarens battling it out. All of this is allowing Cam Dance to pull away to almost 5 seconds in the lead. Interested to see, by the way, Daniel Lee, fastest lap of the race. McFarlane getting a little bit out of shape there, heading down this back straight towards the Ascari chicane once again. Underneath the old oval and onto the brakes, and you've got also McClay. He's battling away with Whitehouse and making the move up into 6th place.
Yeah, he just gets ahead there into Ascari. Christian Rose is the next car behind Whitehouse. He's already trying to move down towards the Parabolica. But yeah, Cam Dance flying away. But Daniel Lee, what a great time that is, a 1:49.219. Awesome time for him, as McFarlane, as you could see by the number on his windscreen there, he was 5th starting this lap, but he's up to 2nd, so he's done a cracking job there. And he's almost just sort of leapfrogged all 3 of these guys, and now they're battling once again here. That's Wood, Horder and Gray, and they're fighting still for Pro-Am honours on their podium. Beautiful shot there as the blimp goes over the circuit. Look at this, the 2 McLarens behind the BMW in almost formation, you could say there. Horder a little bit later on the brakes, tries to go around the outside. That, of course, will be the inside. He was in the exact same position a lap ago, and he's done it again, hooks it up on the curb. Gray goes a lot further wide. The car's a little bit out of shape, and through goes George
we've got
McClay.
A car around. That's McNally. Adam McNally is around, and credit to him. He's got it into reverse and got it out the way. He's going to tear up that lovely grass. Luckily, it's not Jonathan Palmer who looks after this circuit, or else he'd be getting a very expensive bill. But McNally heading round. That's a bit of an in-joke there if you're in British motorsport, that's for sure. But the two McLarens still battling away. Now, looking down your order, your top amateur is still James Whitehouse. He is in 8th place. Your top pro-am is Mike Horder in 3rd place, although that's a battle between him and Chris Wood for 4th as well. Looking further down, your next amateur, it's all the way down in 18th, which is John Roberts. So he's still 2nd place effectively in the amateurs, but he won't be getting 2nd place points in the amateur class. Every position and every point counts.
Yeah, that's it. And I think Whitehouse knows that there is such a big gap as well. I really do like that livery on the Century Sim Racing car, because I used to just think it was just yellow, but it's got this wonderful sort of shadow effect on it with lots of angular lines. He is known as Jim, and especially by Pete Harrod as well, who keeps telling me I do need to go down to Century Sim Racing with him where possible. And they're a great bunch of guys from what I've seen, and I've been told as well by Pete that I do need to go and visit, like I say. But anyway, Chris Wood in this McLaren is staring at the back of his fellow McLaren driver, Mike Horder. Ross McFarlane has got away from these guys now by 1.5 seconds. He's only 4.2 behind Cam Dance, so keep an eye on Ross McFarlane. We've got just under 7 minutes to go here, so he's got a bit of time. Wood is down the inside. Horder, again, takes his usual line around the outside of the first part of the chicane, down the inside of the second bit, and George McClay says, oh, all right then, Chris, if you don't want that, then I'll take it off your hands for you, mate, no problem at all. But he's going to be on the outside now for Curva Grande, and he's going to be on the inside for the second chicane here, and it's a long old run down there. You've got plenty of time to think about it and overthink what you're going to do when you get there, trust me. It's a very nerve-wracking circuit, is Monza, and McClay still down the inside. Wood holds onto it, though. Very feisty stuff there, Paul.
Yeah, really good defensive display from Wood, although I think he might have a slowdown penalty here. He's moving over to the left. Oh, he's carrying the speed through the corner, though, so he's staying ahead of McClay, but the drivers behind of Gray, who we saw run wide at the Retifilia, he is right behind these two. Christian Rose, Harold Stadler, Pete Harrod, Adam Watson, James Whitehouse, Michael Evdoka, Alex Arana up to 13th now from the back of the grid. Sensational drive from Alex to work his way through. Here goes Evdoka to the inside of Whitehouse. Arana almost clattering over those curbs and almost losing control.
Yeah, it's easy to do. It's easy to push this car, or any of these cars, to the limit over them curbs and have it spin around on you. It can be a real nightmare. But we've got a brilliant train of cars here in like the top 20. There's not really any of them other than, say, Evdoka and Watson that are actually separated. That's the cars just ahead of this. They're separated by 1.6 seconds. But Arana now down the inside of James Whitehouse, who, while he may be dropping places, he's going to get more points than his AM class competitors. Daniel Lee just going past there on the right hand side.
Well, here's the thing. John Roberts, who's the next amateur, has got another amateur to keep him company now, because Michael Blake is trying to, he's getting a bit closer to try and make a move for 3rd place and 2nd place in your amateur standings. And John has been dropping down a bit quicker than James, but still keeping it clean, keeping out of trouble, which is what you need to do. You need to accumulate points in this series.
Yeah, that's it. And as I said before, it's so tightly packed, and it's such an intense championship. It's so close in terms of everybody's pace. You just need to take every point you can and play it safe where possible. But Michael Blake at the moment, we've had an issue for Wood, and Gray has gone through with McClay there as well. Christian Rose is still in that fight as well. He's actually going to go down the inside of McClay. Looks like a slowdown for Wood. He's hemorrhaging positions there. Down the inside, flipping heck, Christian, give him some room, mate. That was very feisty. We all know that it's not easy to give people room there through the right-hander of Lesmo 2. Just behind him, he's got Harold Stadler as well, so he's got a Fitstyle car ahead and behind, but one of them's blue, one of them's red. So he's going to have to try and get his head around that while he fights his way through Ascari in this Ferrari. I'm not a poet, I do not know it.
It's the Texense car in front, and it's the Renville car behind, who's actually had a poor exit out of the Ascari chicane, and that's going to allow Pete Harrod to go through down the inside for the Parabolica, And right behind them now, Adam Watson. He's been in and around the top 10 each of these races, as Adam. He's doing a very good job out there as the Pro-Am. And he is working his way... Oh, don't make it 3 wide, chaps. Please don't do this. Oh, they're almost rubbing door handles there. Down the start and finish straight. Here comes Watson. He's using as much draft as he possibly can because he knows that the Audi struggles for top speed. It's good on its brakes though, and that's exactly what he's showing there. Late on the brakes, into the chicane, ahead of Pete Harrod and ahead of Stadler. And Chris Wood around the outside of the Rettifilia to gain a place back up into 9th.
Oh, can we see that again from Chris Wood's point of view? Very pretty, please, because that was beautifully executed from Chris. He just saw that gap open up. As soon as he saw that Stadler had backed off of it here he is. You'll see Stadler on the left. So Watson and Harrod go down the inside. Oh, he's actually late on the brakes. It's almost a mistake turned into a manoeuvre. Takes enough curb on the right that he doesn't get a slowdown. Yanks it over to the left very quickly. Gets a little bit of a tap on the left-hand side, I believe, from Stadler. And through he goes. Great traction on the exit. But what a great bit of driving from Adam Watson as well. He took the risk, made it 3 wide, and it paid off in the end. Good awareness from Pete Harrod, though, because he saw that he was running wide. Again, they're still fighting. Arana's just out of... How has he done this? He's out of nowhere, suddenly into the top 10 now.
Alex Arana out of nowhere. I'm sure there's a meme about that, about Randy Orton. But anyway, is down into the Ascari chicane. Wood now losing the position to Evdoka, who's all over those curbs. He's trying to follow Alex Arana through the field here, is Evdoka, because he wants to minimise the points lost to Alex there as they head on through. Worth pointing out, moving to the front of your field, or a bit more towards the front of your field, because Gray and McClay are battling out for 4th and 5th place, and it's Pro-Am versus Pro here, and McClay doing a fantastic job, again, working his way through the field, using the slipstream in that Ferrari. It does struggle a little bit for top speed here.
Yeah, it used to be, when it first came out, it was the car to be in for top end speed, and a few seasons ago as well, that was still the case, but it's a lot more level in that term now. As he goes round the outside, look at that, it almost clears him entirely in the braking zone. That was beautiful from George McClay. He's a very quick driver, a very nice lad as well. I've raced with him in a few series and still can't get my head around how he does it so quickly. But here's Alex Arana, and you mentioned Randy Orton. It'd surely be called an Arana KO. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue as well as our KO, unfortunately. But Pete Harrod there has just managed to get back ahead of Adam Watson. So this is a really strong fight here developing. Arana weaving around behind, having a look. Watson's down the inside of Harrod. Oh, he closes a bit too quickly, and that was... I think he expected Watson to have more of a smooth run through there, and that's a real shame. Suddenly, the car was a lot slower on the apex because he didn't want to hit the back of Harrod. Harrod gave him the room, didn't he? He seemed almost unsure to leave the door open.
Well, it's the final lap, by the way. This race has flown by. Ross McFarlane has been on a charge. He's now only 1.6 seconds behind Cam Dance. But Cam, for that Texense car, that Texense Fitside car, Ross McFarlane off in the background there. Almost a dramatic end to this race here for Ross. He's cleaning his tyres, making sure he's got grip on those tyres. But it's going to be round the final corner he comes then. The pro driver Cam Dance. He'll be seeing the checkered flag, and well, he's had a bit of a nightmare in races 1 and 2, but it's going to be a win in race number 3 of the evening. Across the line then for Cam Dance to take victory here in the World GT Championship. Ross McFarlane second, and your top Pro-Am, Mike Horder, coming across the line in 3rd place for another Boosted Motorsports car. Great result for him. Still close battling across the line. They were all together there. We're going to have to get a slide rule out, I think, on that one to get to find out who finished where. But P1 Racing, Gavin Baker is right up behind Marina Sarika. So Sarika had to do a recovery drive up to 26th in the end as they come across the line here right now, but you can see the damage to that Williams Esports car. So the championship leader going into this round not had a good final race, although it mitigates his teammate having that nightmare in race number 2.
It does indeed, and James Whitehouse for Century Sim Racing wins in the AM category. Fantastic drive from him in the number 59 Ferrari. Here's Adam McNally weaving the car around in its NASCAR spec rear wing, as he is probably going to lose that in a minute because the downforce has completely gone off the rear. Yep, there it goes. And is this the better Draycott or is it Niall Crowther?
It's the
better
Draycott, yes.
The larger and better Draycott, Matt Draycott crossing the line there. He will finish that one with a bit of damage down in 39th. He was a bit further up the order as well, so in qualifying anyway, and obviously with the reverse grid. So unfortunately that didn't go his way, but Cam Dance, well, as I said a moment ago, what a turnaround there, Paul, because he was definitely in the wars and using the front end of that car, not intentionally of course, but just off the brakes and just closing under brakes, causing a couple of incidents early on, but takes the win in the end. And if your car number's got 2 and 7 in it, you're in luck here, aren't you?
Yeah, certainly. For second place for Ross McFarlane in that Pure Sims eSports car. Started the race in 13th, up to second place. A really good result for him. Mike Horder, as we mentioned, the top Pro-Am, finishing in third place overall ahead of George McClay. Michael Gray in fifth ahead of Christian Rose. Alex Arana, what a recovery drive. He started, get this everybody, 42nd on the grid, and he is finished in 7th place. A little bit of that to do with the chaos at the start. He picked up a good 20 positions at the start, but then through the race picking up further spots, so great result for him. Pete Harrod for Pure Sims OBP in 8th place ahead of Harold Stadler. Michael Evdoka rounding out your top 10. Chris Wood and Daniel Lee 11th and 12th ahead of your amateur winner James Whitehouse. Century Sim Racing, he started on pole. He'll be over the moon with that one. That is a great result for James for the championship. That will help him a lot. Ben Gregory ahead of Ben Hackerson, so the two Bens 14th and 15th. 16th only just was Alex Neller, the second Ford there ahead of Matt Bunn. Michael Blake 18th in amateur, so he's the second place amateur in this race. Is Michael Blake ahead of Ethan Bass. I always get his name wrong. I can't quite get it right, but we'll get it right eventually. John Roberts, 20th place. He's the third placed amateur in this race. Tony Draper ahead of Dean Powell, Chris Byram, Adam Hedgecock. Morena Sarica, who we saw getting involved in not just the incident on the exit of the Ascara chicane, but also at the start of the race at the Retafilio. So a couple of big incidents for him, dropping him down the order to 26th. Gavin Baker ahead of Craig Jones, Paulo Munoz, Simon Field and Tom Jacobs rounding at the top 30. Bradley Burns, Sean Gardner, Kieran Chung ahead of Lars van Rijn. Simon Underhill, he'll be disappointed with that one, Will Underhill. He started this race up in 17th, got involved, a little bit of an innocent party in the incident at the chicane, the De La Rogia. Mohamed Janko and Adam Nally, 36th, 37th ahead of Adam Watson. Matt Draycott and Niall Crowther, the first driver not finishing the race, down in 40th. Stephen Burke, Nathan Dixon, Stephen McAfee, Morgan Butler, who was upside down in a gravel trap at the De La Rogia, Matthias van Delden and Jake Blackhall, who had a huge incident at the Curva Grande, and he ends up down as the last of your runners here. But well, Chaz, it's time to just take a breath here, because that was some really interesting racing. We got a bit of a big one in that third race, especially on the exit of the Ascara chicane, but the road generally stayed clear, so there was no safety car on that one. But overall, some really good close action out there, and for the first time this season, Williams Esports not winning all three races.
Yeah, that's very true. They did do an amazing performance in the first one, but it's strangely difficult to overtake here at Monza, because unless you do it in a straight line or on the brakes into one of the chicanes, there's not really that many places to make it stick, because a lot of the moves that you'll pull around here will then be completely reversed again by the time you get out of the corner and down one of the straights. So it does level the playing field a bit. And I mean, we've seen a Ford take a win tonight, so you know that anything can happen here. But Alex Neller, that's got to be one of the highlights of the night for me, that, because to see that Ford GT take a win in the hands of Alex Neller in the boosted motorsport team, I'm so pleased for them, mate. I can't tell you. But again, the Ford's been treated as a bit of a meme in recent times. Obviously, you know, it's sort of gradually being phased out, but what a brilliant car. And I mean, I drove it not too long ago at the start of lockdown. I teamed up with Tom Brooks to drive it in the 3-hour endurance race that Jimmy Broadbent organised for charity, and it's not easy at all. It's really understeery, and then all of a sudden, once you get below a certain speed, it's really oversteery, and it grips like mad. But then once you get on the power again, the rear will come around. So especially around here with fast stuff, slow chicanes as well, fast corners in terms of like Parabolica or Ascari. That's not an easy car to wrestle around here, so he did a good job all the same to get that win and defend from Blackwall. But as you said, a little bit of an incident in the third race, but that was still another absolute cracker and a deserving winner in Cam Dance as well. He's got good pace, and to be fair, it's good to see him finally get that top spot.
Absolutely. Well, it's time to go through some of your interviews, and well, we will start with the man who won the second race of the evening, Alex Neller, and hopefully if he unmutes his microphone he'll be able to speak to us. There we go. Alex, well, you picked the Ford GT, and well, it paid off for you in race 2.
Yeah, I'm honestly just as surprised as you guys are, really. As I'm sure you guys can both understand, having driven in this series before and seen how I guess stunted Dennis Melcher was, who was really punching below his weight in this car last season. Yeah, I could only convince myself so much that I wasn't just choosing the Ford for a laugh. But yeah, it worked out. What you said after I took the win in race 2 was exactly what I was thinking. Just build a gap, hold the gap. A little bit cheeky with Jake. I didn't actually mean to squeeze him that hard. There was just ploughing from the understeer because the tyres were gone by that point.
Well, that's it. I mean, I did pretty much think that was exactly what was happening there. But, getting a win since you changed over to the car, you've set the bar quite high now for the rest of the season, haven't you, really, on those reverse grid races in this Ford? How do you see the rest of the season going then for yourself in that boosted motorsport car?
Well, tonight has shown that straight line speed tracks are clearly somewhere that suits the Ford, because I was able to keep up even with the Williams BMWs. I was kind of just about able to keep on the back of them at the best of times. And of course, we've got Daytona next week, which is just about the straight line speediest track that you can get, really. So I'm a bit confident for that. We've got Nürburgring GP coming up later in the season, I believe, and I'm a little bit careful of that because you have to take a lot of the curbs to get the most time out of that track, and curbs are not something that the Ford particularly enjoys.
Well, you won't like this, because whilst you were talking there, we did see your moment through the Ascari chicane where you did hit one of those curbs and used liberal use of the runoff there. But
yes.
But still, just finally, then you've been racing in various leagues for Boosted for quite a while, and to get a result like this for the team, it's a very good, strong team that you have there as well. What's this mean for the team as a whole?
Yeah, well, I mean, you said it yourself. I've been with Boosted for about almost 18 months now. We're all mates. We're a fairly close-knit bunch, and yeah, we don't win races very often. So it was a really good moment. I've been working hard with the likes of Adam Hedgecock and Mike Horder. We've kind of been really trying to do our best for this season, and obviously Lars as well. Lars kind of just put a shout out for the Lars brother. They had a fantastic qualifying. Outqualified me by 4 tenths.
For sure.
We even commented about how good that qualifying result was from Lars. It was a sensational qualifying for him. But Alex, before you go, just anyone else you want to give a quick mention to whilst you're here?
Just a mention to you guys for a fantastic stream as always.
Well, thank you very much. We'll take that, that's for sure. But congratulations on the race win and 16th place in that final race as well. Alex Neller, everybody.
Cheers, guys.
So that was Alex Neller, race winner from race number 2. And we're going to now have a word with Christian Rose with Chaz.
Shifty, Christian Rose is known as, and it's good to see you, mate. You seem to be doing really well out there in the Ferrari this season. Just talk me through how the first part of it's been for you.
First of all, can you hear me?
I can indeed, mate. Yes, loud and clear.
Fantastic. It's been really fun. I think it's pretty evident that we're lacking in a straight line, which made especially tonight, pretty difficult. But the racing's been fantastic. Who I've been involved with. So yeah, really pleased and managed to score some good results tonight.
Yeah, that was it. You seem to be actually very involved in some of the fights near the front, as you have been all season. But it's you've been one of those drivers for me so far. I'll be brutally honest here that you just fly under the radar for most of it, and you just suddenly appear within the top 10, and then you're there scoring points. Do you have any sort of set tactic for the whole season, or is it just see what comes across your nose and just get past it?
I like to think that I don't really want to get involved with a scrap that I know I'm not going to win. If say Moreno or Josh, for example, come up behind me, I know that eventually they're going to get by, so I might as well just let them go and not lose as much time, and hopefully I can follow them through. But yeah, no, I've been trying to keep fairly incident free in the races. Had a little bit of an incident in the last race with McLaren, but other than that, nothing too major.
Yeah, it seems like the consistency is what's keeping you up there in the championship at the moment, and of course some strong pace to go with it at the end of the day. Without the pace, you wouldn't be as high up as you are. But just talk to me about the whole Pure Sims effort, because there's so many cars out there, and obviously a couple of different teams within one big stable. Do you guys all tend to work together, or do you just stick the teamwork to your guys and your set team of 3?
No, it's definitely a Pure Sims effort as a whole. We've got a lot of drivers and a lot of different cars, but from where we are in the same car, we tend to share setups and give tips, because we all want to be up there fighting. Obviously, we all want to win individually, but sometimes the team's more important.
Yeah, that's for sure, mate. And it's good to see that you guys do work together in the long run. Well, it's good to speak to you then. It's good to speak to you again, though, Christian. It's been a very long time indeed, and it's good to see you going well out there, mate, in all honesty. But before we let you go, do you want to give a shout-out to anybody?
Yeah, first of all, just like to give a quick shout-out to everyone at Pure Sims and to all the sponsors, SimLab, Cube Controls, OBP Motorsport, Sim Sports, Night Rider Designs, and Jinx Shifters, and also as well to your good selves for the fantastic broadcast.
Thank you.
Simmortal and Freem for sponsoring the series.
Awesome sauce. Nicely said, mate. Well, like I say, fantastic to speak to you again, buddy, and hopefully we will see you doing just as well next week at Daytona.
Thanks very much. Take care, gents.
Cheers.
It's almost as if he had that scripted there, that sponsorship
Love it.
reeling off there. Well, we've spoken to one race winner of the evening today. Let's speak to another one, and that is Cameron Dance, because race winner in race 3, I think you'll be honest to say that the first 2 races weren't exactly going your way, were they?
Yeah, it wasn't too ideal with a bit of netcode and some other dramas, but finished the night off as best as we possibly could. I mean, to end up going from on the front row and then pretty much pulling a gap and finishing it out the front is, one of the best results of the season so far. So, can't complain at all.
And of course, we've seen you consistently in that top 10 of the championship going on here. How are you finding it with the team? How's the team finding this championship so far this season? Because we have 4 meetings already into this championship.
Yeah, it's been a bit of an interesting season so far for the team and I. It's been a little bit of a rough start and a bit of up and down, but it's all about consistency at the end of the day. So we've just got to focus on scoring points and getting consistent finishes sort of stuff. So, it's not too bad, but at the end of the day, there's a championship on the line and there's still plenty of racing to go. So, we just got to keep going at it and getting those point scores.
Absolutely. Well, Daytona next then, one of the endurance events, and we've seen how some teams do favour the endurance events more than the sprint racing. How do you fancy your chances and the high speed in this Ferrari? It's not really suited to that at the moment, is it?
Yeah, Daytona is going to be an interesting one with the top speed that the BMW has at the moment. Although that said, the Ferrari does have the advantage of that. It can consistently keep picking up speed even when it gets beyond the rev limit range. So, it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens and what car's going to dominate where. But nevertheless, we'll give it a red-hot crack and see what we can possibly do at Daytona.
Well, the pressure's on because I'm sure Jack and Sam will be watching this one afterwards. But anyone you want to give a quick mention to whilst you're here?
Yeah, just first of all, shout out to the boys at TechSense Fitstyle Motorsport and our supporters, TechSense, Renval, Demon Tweaks, Fight Colorectal Cancer. You guys for putting on an awesome broadcast, and the team at World GT for putting on an awesome series as well.
Well, thank you very much, Cam, and
Thank you.
all the best for the rest of the season.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Cheers.
So there we go, that was Cam Dance, and now we're going to have a speed round of interviews. First of all, the chairman of the Morgan Butler Fans Club, Chaz Draycott, is going to be with Morgan Butler.
Yeah, boy.
Here we are then. Well, Morgan, 2 class wins tonight. Didn't quite go your way in the end with the incident with Steve Burke, but you must be on cloud 9 with those first 2 races, mate, because not only did you win the AM class, you showed us that it's not the usual performance from an AM. I mean, I've been there as well, where you're at the front because of the reverse grid and you sink like a stone, but you just sort of got to try not to sink as much as the others. But you held the pace with the quicker drivers out there, didn't you? You must be over the moon with that.
I mean, yeah, I'm happy that I got obviously the results in race 1 and 2, but I feel race 3's result has kind of put a dampener on the evening. Because obviously I went into race after finishing race 1 and 2, I was thinking, right, this is a good haul of points. Like I feel I've nailed this, and then I've obviously looked at points, and I'm a bit sort of not the happiest would probably be a good way to put it, because of the way that the incident was and how it happened. For that then to kind of put me at such a deficit, because I was 39 points off the class leader and I'm now 62.
Yeah.
Basically because of one incident that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it is what it is. I can't sit here and hold a grudge against somebody for what's happened, because what's happened. But yeah, that's kind of ruined the high that I was on from race 1 and 2, to be honest.
Yeah, it's understandable because, you know, it's a hell of a high to a very quick low, and I know that over the course of a night in this championship, because it all comes so quickly as well, it can be a bit overwhelming at times. But just going forward to the rest of the season, though, I mean, you've shown that you've got the pace to hang it with some of the big boys at the very front of the field. What's your thoughts just going towards Daytona at the Enduro next week?
A lot more confident than I thought I was maybe going into it before tonight. Obviously, thinking forward to Daytona, I was a bit concerned, obviously, with the sort of deficit that the Ferrari's got in a straight line. But after showing myself, especially tonight, that the Ferrari can be up there and stay up there, even on a track that really doesn't suit it, it fills me with a bit more confidence that I can maybe just hold it out. And as long as I finish, that's kind of all that matters, really.
Yeah, well, we hope that you do get the points from it, though. We do have to move quickly on, though, buddy. So do you want to give a shout out to anybody before you go?
Yeah, obviously just a huge shout out again to Pure Sims for all the help with basically just all the help in general, helping to be a lot quicker and more consistent. I can't thank them all enough.
Cracking. Well, good to speak to you, Morgan. Very well done as well for those first 2 races, mate, and we'll see you at Daytona.
Yep, see you at Daytona.
Cheers.
So there we go, Morgan Butler, and then finally, but by far not least, it is Daniel Lee, Pro-Am. Used to be H2M engineer, and it's now the msignsuk.com team, who we see right here on the screen right now, having a bit of a moment on the lap number 1 around Ascara chicane. Daniel, talk us through your evening here, because distinctive new livery, and you guys were maybe not having the best of evenings today.
Now, we had a really good launch pad for this race. The setup was absolutely fine. It was not only fast in a straight line, but, you know, still quick in the corners. We had everything to put down, and we just really slipped. We lost our footing on a couple of occasions. It was a bit like a coin. The first half of this meeting, race 1 and most of race 2, were great. Flip the coin over, and it all just spirals into the abyss. It all started with Tom Jacobs. The nose of his car sort of lifted my rear like a spatula almost coming out of the T1 chicane. And after that, it all just went downhill. So it was a recovery drive in race 1, in race 2 and 3. And we just had to make the best of it, but it could have been a lot better. Lukewarm is how I would describe the results here.
Well, I'm always somebody who looks forward to bigger and brighter things. Next round, Daytona, the endurance events. This is where you get to stretch your legs and really give it a good go. How are you feeling going towards Daytona?
looking forward to it quite a lot. Love endurance events because you can always recover from whatever happens to you. And at the minute, I'm feeling a bit like Sideshow Bob stepping on garden rakes. We just need need to get some clear air, a chance to put the pace down. You know, fastest lap in race 3, if I'm correct. That's what we should have been doing. So just got to get a good event in us, and we'll be putting the points up.
Well, thank you very much then, Daniel. And just before you quickly go, anyone you want to give a quick mention?
Just a quick shout out to mscienceuk.com. They do graphics if it's in a large format, they do it, including vehicle graphics, vehicle wraps. So next time you need your Ferrari or BMW wraps, take it there and they'll get it done for you. Thank you very much for streaming the league.
That's not a problem. Well, thank you very much, Daniel. And that was Daniel Lee then from the mscienceuk.com team, the rebranded team. We will get that changed for next week because somebody, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, didn't tell us that we had a different change of team name. But anyway, this evening then, 3 races. I can see that the admins have already been working out the top 3s of each one. I'll just quickly run through these before we head off. Ross McFarlane, the top pro driver, then ahead of Pete Harrod and George McClay. In the Pro-Ams, Mike Horder, Chris Wood and Alex Neller were the top drivers in those standings. Also in the AMS, John Roberts, really good results for him. He has gained 14 points there, 14 points clear of James Whitehouse and Dean Powell as well. Equal second for the night for the AMS. Also top teams, Pure Sims OBP, TechSense, Fitstyle Motorsports and Williams Esports down in third for the evening, with the top Pro-Am, surprise surprise, being Boosted Motorsports. Williams Esports down a driver because of the issues that Josh was having with internet connections, and then Alex Arana getting caught up in race number 2, Marina Sarica getting caught up in race 3.
Not their night.
It wasn't the night at all, apart from race 1 where they dominated.
Well, yeah.
But it shows that they are human. But going forward to Daytona next week now, Chaz, it's going to be a tall order to beat that team because endurance is their bag.
Yeah, that's exactly what they excel in, and we saw it at Sebring as well. I mean, it was an unbelievable performance at Sebring. They still had drivers keeping them honest, but the 3 of them just worked together. You can see there the calendar. As we mentioned before, you get these groups of 3 race meetings and then a week off, with an enduro round being sandwiched by 2 sprint rounds. And Daytona is going to be the next one. And then the other enduros that we've got, Spa-Francorchamps and Circuit de la Sarthe in Le Mans. That's going to be a hell of a round, that is, because that's going to have serious championship implications near the end of the season as well. I just want to give Pete Harrod a shout out. Now, I know I may be biased. I'm a great friend of Pete's. He's very local to me. And as you are as well, Paul. I mean, we're both very good friends with Pete. His first laps tonight in that car around here on that setup were in qualifying. And he comes away from this race meeting as the 2nd highest scoring driver tonight.
Well, joint scoring, top scoring driver, actually.
And it's just, how? Like, he's a reigning champion for a reason. I mean, at the end of the day, he wears that number 1 on the car with pride. And he has commented that he does like the fact that we do mention that he's the reigning champion. He says it sounds a bit surreal. But what a great performance that is, though. And it just shows you that even though it may not be a driver that's winning the races on the night or getting podiums or winning in class, he's just another one of those drivers that's just there under the radar, getting those points week in, week out, and just gradually climbing his way up to the top of the championship. And that's why he's a champion, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That is spot on there. But I'm afraid that is all we've got time for here in the World GT Championship. It is time to just say that, we've got a race around Daytona next week. 7:50 UK time, that's 6:50 UTC, if you want to put that in your diaries next week on the iRacing Esports Network. But a few thank yous of ourselves to give. First of all, myself and Chaz Draycott have been on commentary. Istvan Ballo, trackcams22.com for all your track cameras needs here on iRacing. If you want to have things look a little bit like our broadcast, it won't be exactly the same, then do check out his website and his products. But don't go anywhere because there's plenty more action coming up on the iRacing Esports Network as always. But next week, Daytona International Raceway, the World GT Championship Endurance Round number 5. Until then, it's goodbye from Racebot TV.
Sometimes I'd like to be alone in my own mind. I feel at home within these walls. I fear my own absence of association.